This is Reporter Room with Jessica Della Davies.
Well, good morning, everyone. We are here the morning of Bryan Kohberger's sentencing, which is scheduled to begin at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. We have a lot of information on this. I have it pulled up, ready to go. So today, come on in, join me. Tell me where you're from. Please give this a thumbs up on your way in and come on up and talk to me in the top chat. I won't be talking during the hearing. I have a pet peeve. I just don't like it when people are talking and there's a hearing going on. So I don't talk during the hearing. I'll be minimizing myself out of the way, and we'll be watching it quietly together. But if you want to talk in the top chat during the hearing, you can come up and we'll be typing back and forth to each other. So today we're going to be hearing from a variety of different people. We're going to be hearing from the family members of the victims. They're going to be allowed to give their victim impact statement. Bryan Kohberger will also have the opportunity to address the victims' families. I don't know if he will or not. So it's unclear as to whether or not Bryan Kohberger is going to speak. Defendants sometimes use this opportunity to express remorse, to ask for mercy, to offer an explanation, or to say whatever they think they want to say to the judge or say to the victims' families prior to being sentenced. However, this defendant has chosen to stay silent even when he was asked if he was going to plead guilty or not guilty back in Latah County. Judge John Judge had to enter a plea on his behalf because Bryan Kohberger did not even say that he was not guilty. So he has never said he didn't do it, and now he has pled guilty. He has admitted to doing it, and he has signed a confession. So because the U.S., there's been a lot of talk because President Trump spoke out. I had a lot of questions last night that because the president wants the judge to force Bryan Kohberger to speak. So I did do some research on that for you guys. But because the U.S. Constitution's Fifth Amendment guarantees the right to remain silent, and you may have heard people, in the movie say, I take the fifth. They can choose not to speak at all. So Bryan Kohberger cannot be compelled by this judge or any judge to speak. So that doesn't mean he won't speak. So Xana Kernodle's father, Jeff Kernodle, said in a statement following the guilty plea, he said that he had hoped the agreement would include conditions that require the defendant to explain his actions and provide answers to many questions that still remain, especially where evidence is missing or unclear. And I don't know if Bryan Kohberger is going to feel compelled to do that or not. I didn't see any empathy from him when he was pleading guilty. So I don't know what to expect today, but maybe he will be contrite. We do have the victims' families. We're going to be hearing from the families of Kaylee Goncalves, Stephen Christie have decided they're going to speak out today, and I'm so glad because they did it. They managed to get through tremendous hard work and perseverance. They managed to get a national and international conversation going about balancing the rights of the defendant or the accused with the rights of the victims and their family members. And in this case, I don't think we hit a great balance. So maybe by speaking out, they will spare another family having to go through what they went through. Now, Kaylee, Maddie, Ethan, and Xana have foundations set up to honor them. Ethan's Smile Foundation was set up by the Chapin family. Now, we're not expecting to hear from them today. They may surprise us and show up because we weren't going to hear from the Goncalves family. And now we have learned that they are going to speak out, which I'm very, very glad about. But they have started a foundation that's called Ethan's Smile Foundation. It honors his love of life, people, and new adventures by providing scholarships, college scholarships, so other people can pursue their dreams. The Made with Kindness Foundation honors the legacy of Madison Mogen, Xana Kernodle, and Kaylee Goncalves. And it also does this through scholarships, wellness support, and empowerment initiatives. And it says that our mission is to inspire and uplift the next generation, turning their dreams into realities, into a world that values compassion and community. That is according to their website. So I have the court pulled up. As soon as it goes live, I will immediately stop talking. We will go right to it. For those of you who don't know who I am, I'm Jessica Della Davies. I'm an investigative journalist. My job is to investigate crimes, crime scenes, and potential suspects, and share with you how to do the same thing. If you have not subscribed to Reporter Room, it's free. Like, share, leave a comment, and know that everything I'm sharing with you is my opinion. So, who are we going to hear from today? Well, here's who has an opportunity to speak. Now, just because someone has an opportunity to speak doesn't mean they're going to, but the family members of the victims, all 4 family members, will be given an opportunity to speak. And as I just shared with you, the Chapin family feels like they have the closure they need. My understanding is they are not going to give a victim impact statement today. The surviving roommates, Dylan and Bethany, will also have the opportunity to talk about and describe the damage that this has done to them. I don't know if they're going to speak, but they do have the right to speak. The judge has said in the past that Dylan and Bethany are both victims. Now, they will get this is really their only chance to go eyeball to eyeball and face to face with Bryan Kohberger and talk about how this has impacted their lives and to speak to him directly. Now, the Moscow police chief, Anthony Dallinger, told ABC News that he hopes the sentencing will not only allow the families, but the entire town of Moscow to heal and bring some sort of closure to this horrendous act. So let's talk about the gag order. And again, as soon as the hearing starts, I'm going to go straight to it. There's a, I mean, we know there's, 52, 62 terabytes of information just on digital information. So there's going to be a ton of evidence, including investigative documents, witness statements. Now, these all are still under the court protection, but they can be released once the sentencing has been concluded. And last week, the judge did lift the gag order, which allowed the law enforcement to start speaking, but he did not start releasing or unsealing any of the files. He said he wanted to review them, starting with the newest, and he said that this process could take months. Remember, these are terabytes. If you think about how much storage your computer has, it may have 1 or 2 terabytes. This is like 50 or 60 terabytes of information, just in the terabytes, not counting all of the other information. So as part of the plea agreement, Bryan Kohberger did accept the maximum sentence for unaliving and burglary. He is to serve, if the judge sentences him according to the agreement between the prosecution and the defense team, he is going to be serving 4 counts of consecutive, that means one right after another, of first degree doing away with somebody. So he will serve 4 consecutive life sentences. And there is an additional 10-year for the burglary charge when he broke into the house to commit these crimes. Now, the judge is not required to follow the plea deal, but he cannot exceed it. So he cannot impose more than that. So when the sentencing is over, Bryan Kohberger will be transferred to the custody of the Idaho Department of Correction, where he'll undergo an evaluation. And after he's undergone the evaluation, he will then be assigned to a state prison. Now, we think it's most likely that he's going to be in the Idaho Maximum Security Institution in Kuna. This is the Idaho's only maximum security prison. And I have shared with you in the past photographs from that. And if we get a court break today for a lunch break, I will show you guys the photographs during the break of the prison. But according to the Idaho Statesman, the prison has garnered criticism for its harsh treatment of inmates in solitary confinement, for the poor conditions. And this drove the prisoners to organize a mass 6-day hunger strike last year to protest the facility. So Bryan Kohberger could spend the rest of his life in a maximum security prison. It's also possible that they could decide to transfer him out of state. And here we go. Oh, I saw the picture and I got excited. It's just a frozen picture, just letting us know he's coming. Okay. I thought we were going. We are not going yet. Okay, as soon as we go, I'll make myself small and we will watch together. But it's just a frozen picture. Just a static picture that just lets him know that he's coming. He's actually not, this hearing is not scheduled to begin for another 15 minutes. Yep, that's just a static picture. I just was like double checking. Maybe it's not. So Bryan Kohberger, let me check in with chat because I do want to keep an eye on all of this. I'm going to move myself down here. So come on in. Tell me where you are from. And let's see who is here today. I'm going to grab a sip of coffee. I'm just waking up like a lot of you guys. I live streamed last night. We did 2 live streams. And then I didn't get to all the questions. I feel bad. I am sorry for that. I want to welcome Lulu as a Reporter Room member and welcome Philly Girl as a Reporter Room member. So welcome to the Reporter Room family. And I want to thank Michael L. Cole for the $1.99 super sticker. Thank you so much. I'll be putting that toward a new camera. So thank you for that. And Lisa, thank you so much for the $1.99 super sticker. That is very kind of you. I will be putting that toward a new camera. So we have Donna Marie. Thank you so much for your positivity and your encouragement. If you are here, tell me what number thumbs up you are. And Barbara, thank you so much for modding today. Esmeralda, I'm glad you're here. Patricia said, I'm traveling today, but I hope to follow some. I will have to catch it tonight. I would imagine a lot of people are working and are going to watch it on the replay. This is our head mod, Njaz. This is our other head mod, Brother Mike, who is Michael C. Cole. Hi, Don Marie. So I'm just killing a little bit of time while we're waiting for the judge. This is just a static picture. The hearing is not scheduled to begin until 11 a.m. And so it's very possible we could start on time, but it's also possible that we could have a slight delay. We've had those in the past with this judge where we were supposed to get started at such and such a time, and then we find out that we're not getting started on time. Cheryl says, my oldest is just beginning to talk to friends online in games. I used the Papa Roger thing to give him a hard lesson on the internet safety. I really think it sunk in for the first time. I'm glad. I'm really glad. Morgan says, hello, Njaz. Will Jessica be coming on early? Yes, I did go early. Or just rolling right into it. I did come on early. I didn't want to come on too early. But thank you for asking. I sometimes have been up here tap dancing a couple of times where we're waiting for court to start. Sammy says, hi, everyone. I'm ready for today. I'm ready too. Good morning, Mike. And Mike is asking the mods to please help in chat to welcome others. Lisa Story says, NBC News reports that Xana's father and sister have arrived to the courtroom. Thank you for sharing this. My understanding is that we're going to hear from the Kernodles today. We are going to hear from Christy and Steve Goncalves, and also I think Olivia is going to speak as well. As you well know, Christy and Steve Goncalves were not originally planning to speak. However, when the President of the United States weighed in, I think they felt like they had gotten, maybe they didn't get the trial that they wanted, but they certainly were able to start a national and maybe an international conversation on balancing the rights of victims and their families with the rights of the accused. So, and in this case, it would be the defendant. Lisa said, I just read the prosecution entered a plea that BK cannot contact the victims' families until 2027. Yeah, that's really important. He will not be allowed to reach out to them or contact them. Now, they can reach out to him if they want to. Yeah, Morgan's like, not even that. Well, they'll probably be an extension from there. Lisa said these families need to have peace and to grieve. I agree. Morgan said, wait, so does that mean it'd be impossible for him to speak in court today? No, he can speak in court today, but he can't use his prison phone to call them. That's what that is. So yeah, he can speak today. He's allowed to give a statement. That doesn't mean he has to. He has a Fifth Amendment right to remain silent. He does not have to speak. So thank you so much for coming to watch with me. As soon as this starts, I'll be minimizing myself into a tiny little corner. I will go silent. I will be turning off my microphone, but I will be interacting with you in the top chat. So if you have a cell phone, a smartphone, or a laptop, and you want to come up and talk to me, well, come on up. And hi, Christy. Thanks for modding today. And I do expect today to be somewhat emotional. I just want to give you guys a trigger warning. We are going to be hearing of how this impacted the victims' families. And so I do expect today to be very emotional, very, very sad. And when we get a break, and this is expected to go through today and maybe possibly into tomorrow, depending on how long the victim impact statements are and whether or not Bryan Kohberger himself decides to speak. But we're hoping that it will be just today. But depending on when our lunch break is, when we do the lunch break, I will show you guys the inside of the prison where Bryan Kohberger is expected to be housed. Hi, Afro or Troll. Andrea says, hello, true crime besties. And here we go. We have another movement. Okay, so we went from a picture to this. Okay, so we're just waiting on the judge now. So obviously they're there. And we're just waiting on the judge. Very, very, thank you for modding today, Wicked. Christy, good morning. Good morning, Melanie. So if you're watching this on replay later, please feel free to fast forward over this part. I want to welcome Blasty Powwow as a brand new Reporter Room channel member. Welcome to the Reporter Room family. And Cyborg Mama, thank you so much for being a Reporter Room channel member for a month. That's awesome. Thank you. All right, so we're just waiting. Brother Mike says, please help in chat. Once this begins, I will turn off my mic. I will be going silent and we will start. It is scheduled to begin in 9 minutes at 11 a.m. I would think that the judge is going to attempt to read this on time, but you never know what could come up. There could be some kind of issues in getting people into court. I have the sound boosted, though, for you guys at full blast. We are ready. Got another change on the picture. Now that tells me somebody is here. I want to thank NJAS for gifting 5 Reporter Room memberships. If you received one of those memberships, please make sure you say thank you to NJAS. That is so nice of you. Thank you so much, NJAS. Leslie, thank you for modding today and for being here today. Northman's Girl says, I'll be surprised if BK does not speak out today. He's such a coward. He may in the future speak out to gain more attention, notoriety. Yep, that could be. I don't know. This is our other head mod, Sixth Sense Amelia. And Donna's modding. Hey, I'm glad you're here. Wicked is modding. Just looking at who's modding today. Cynthia says, is it true Bryan Kohberger's DNA was found under Maddie's fingernails? Well, that's being hotly disputed. What it sounds like, there was DNA found under Maddie's. And it sounds like, this is just my speculation, because of course we have never been allowed to see it, but it sounds like, let me pull myself up a little bit till we get going here. But it sounds like there was DNA found under her fingernails. Now, the defense says that it wasn't for sure that it was Bryan's. They couldn't rule out other people. And the prosecution had a likelihood ratio that made it sound like it was more likely Bryan Kohberger's DNA than somebody else's DNA. But ultimately, they weren't going to be using this for the trial. So yeah, we're ready. It's going to start. We have 7 more minutes where I'm literally counting down. Hey, Em. Thanks for modding today, Barb. Thanks for modding today, Christy. My Vespa's here. If you're here, come on in. Tell me where you're from. So let's do a poll. May not be able to do the results of the poll if the trial starts, but I'd love to know what you guys think. If you guys think that Bryan Kohberger is going to give a statement today, put a 1 in the chat. If you think that Bryan Kohberger is going to remain silent, put a 2 in the chat. So good morning to you. Donna says, I got a rock appointment. Oh, you're talking about a doc appointment? Yeah. Well, I hope everything's okay, and we'll just see you when you get back. Betsy says, my money's on Bryan going to another state. You think he's going to be moved out of state? Andrea said, that sounds perfect. Cynthia said, so the answer is no more rumors. And Enjo says, please like and subscribe to the channel. It's free. It is. It's free. And Lisa says, don't forget to subscribe. Amy says, it's better not to be him. Why would he be in a suit? He's going to be, today we expect Bryan Kohberger to not be in a suit and tie. We are expecting him to be in prison attire. We are expecting him to be in prison attire. Let me just move myself into the camera frame a little bit better. Okay. I'm just going to move myself down. Out of the way because we are getting ready. We're 5 minutes away from the hearing starting. So we are. And Lulu gifted a reporter room membership. Thank you so much for that, Lulu. That is so kind of you. So we are expecting to hear from a variety of different family members, including the Kernodle family. I think we are going to be hearing from Christy and Steve Goncalves and Olivia, their daughter, their oldest daughter. I don't know if Aubrey's going to be speaking or not. We expect to be hearing from the family of Madison Mogen. The Chapins feel like they have the closure they need, and they are electing not to speak out. And we are just waiting on Judge Hippler. The hearing is scheduled to begin. There was a line outside this morning, you guys, around the block. TikTokers were lined up. Hey, thank you so much for being thumbs up, number 68, Jackie. Donna hopes that they lock him up for the rest of his life. Thank you so much for modding today, and Jazz. And Jazz is one of our head mods, along with Mike Cole. And thank you so much, Donna. I got this at Chico's. I don't know if you guys have Chico's where you live, but Amelia says, hello and welcome to joining the chat. I actually shop for them online. They have online. Congratulations to our new channel members. This is head mod brother Mike. And Christy says, welcome, Blasty Pow Pow. Barbara says, good morning, everyone. Hit the thumbs up on your way in. Subscribe. It's free. And we are just waiting for the judge. The hearing is scheduled to begin in 3 minutes. So we are just counting down to the 3-minute mark. Let me move myself up a little bit. Let's see. I'll move myself back down as soon as it starts. Yeah, please don't argue if you have a different opinion. That's okay. All opinions are welcome. This is a critical thinkers channel. Just express it in a way that's, polite to other people. And no caps. No, we don't do any kind of graphic language. We do try to keep it as G-rated as possible. I don't know how that's going to be today for the hearing, but from us in the chat, we're definitely going to do that. I do have a lot of respect for the YouTube platform and also for the viewers at home, because some people do have little ones in the room. Some people have their children. Some people have their grandchildren. So Top Cat, thank you for modding today. Jeffrey says, Nathan says that Bryan is wearing street clothes. Oh, that's interesting. My understanding was that he was supposed to be in a prison jumpsuit. So that's very interesting. But he would know because he's in there. Prayers and thoughts for the families of the victims. Thank you, Mike. Beth says, I'm feeling all the feels. Washington State trying to let the Hillside Strangler have the major PTSD. Hang in there. That's why we're watching together as a true crime community. Hey, Holly, thank you for modding today. She says, asking everybody to give this a thumbs up. That lets the YouTube algorithm know we're doing a wholesome show. And it helps me to get the feed pushed out to more people. Chloe said he'll be in solitary. I agree. I think he's going to end up for his own protection, probably on 23-hour lockdown and maybe be let out for 1 hour a day. Maybe not even that. I don't know. Elizabeth said, I love you and your instincts are always right. Thanks for sharing light and others. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. That is really nice of you to say. Thank you so much. Amelia says, this is our other head mod. Amelia, hello and welcome to those joining the chat. Lisa says, NBC reported people lining up for seats. Yeah, they started. It was overnight. I'm going to be refreshing now between now until when we start, because I don't want to miss anything. Usually it just pops up by itself, but we have 1 minute. Yeah, Chico's is a great store. You can get Chico's online now. You don't have to even go to the store. You can just go online and pick out what you want. Leslie said, I hope the Kohbergers, well, I think it's going to be okay. I think it's going to be fine. Kelly says, Dallas, Georgia, USA loves Jessica and her prayer. Oh, thank you, Kelly. That's so nice of you to say. And then this is the membership link. If you want to become a channel member, you get a check mark next to your name. Texas Life, Julie, thank you for being number 142 on the thumbs up. George is, so I'm from Chico, California. Anyone else? Welcome. Hi, good to see you today, George. Holly says, hello to everyone coming in. Thank you for being here today. And Enjaz is asking for no caps in chat. And Michael is asking everybody express their opinions in a civil manner. Don Marie says she already has her tissues. She knows it's going to be emotional. I agree. I think it's going to be a very emotional day, which is why we're watching together instead of just watching at home by ourselves. Donna says, let's keep it classy in the chat. This is a classy channel. Jody says, I think he is disgusting and creepy, in my opinion. She's talking about, I'm not sure, Bryan Kohberger. Betsy says, technically, permanent solitary has been ruled unconstitutional by the Supreme Court. Even DP, they now get 20 hours per week for socialization and tablets, no internet. My Vespa says the Gonzalez brothers are also speaking today. Oh, very interesting. So that's good. I think that's really good. Tammy said that the judge for him to be in prison clothes. That was my understanding also, that he was supposed to be in prison attire. Andrea says, yeah, I thought the judge said no more suits after the plea. Yeah, because he's considered now a convict. All right, I'm going to be refreshing now. And we're just waiting for the live feed to come up. I am going to looking to see if anybody else has their live feed, and no, they don't. Nobody has, where everybody's in the same position we are, which is everybody is in the same position we are. They're just waiting on the judge. As soon as the judge comes in, I'm going to be this small and I'm going to stop talking. But for now, we'll be right here. Barbara says, rest in peace, Kaylee, Maddie, Xana, and Ethan. My heart goes out to the survivors and families. Betsy said, what a slap in the face. The judge said it would not be regular clothes in the hearing last week. Yeah, he did say that. He did. Thank you, Michael. You are the best. DE says, let's see what the judge says. Chloe says 1 minute. It's time now. We're just waiting for the judge to come in. I am monitoring other channels, and nobody else has it either. So we're just all waiting for the judge. It has been like this the whole time. I didn't expect today to be better, because I thought, if anything, today was going to be harder, because they have to get more people into the courtroom. They have to seat victims' family members, and they're going to take priority seating over the press. But the mainstream media was very upset that TikTokers were trying to get in. Timothy said, I keep losing the feed, but the chat is working. Your feed, try refreshing your browser and then coming back in. But the feed should be coming up okay. It sounds like you maybe have a little bit of a slow internet. Thanks, Don Marie. Thank you for modding today, Christy and Jody. Rachel says, of all the channels I've been following on this case specifically, you're my favorite. Thank you. Thank you so much, Rachel. And thank you for being here with me today. I really appreciate it. And Jess says, please give us your thumbs up. Yeah, this lets YouTube know that we're doing a wholesome show. Here we go.
Be seated. Thank you.
Bryan Kohberger is in a prison jumpsuit. Oh, they said 5 more minutes. So I don't know what's going on. They're trying to seat people. That's what's happening. That's what I think. I think there's still victims coming in, and they're not going to put the roommates are invited, Dylan and Bethany. They're not going to force them to be on camera. So we do know that our feed works. Now we're just waiting for the judge. So they popped up. We did see that Bryan Kohberger is in his orange jumpsuit today. So some people had thought that maybe he wasn't going to be in a prison jumpsuit. As soon as the judge comes back on, I'm going to stop talking and turn off my mic, and I will be this small on your screen. I absolutely can't stand it when somebody oohs and ahs over a live feed when I'm trying to watch court. It just drives me crazy. So welcome, Las Vegas, until he comes back on, though. At least we know the feed works. So the judge was ready to go live, but sounds like they were still getting people seated. Hey, Zero. So come on in. Tell me where you're from. We can still talk in the top chat. And that says, how do you become a channel member? I subscribe. Well, thank you so much for subscribing. That's free and it helps me out a lot. And becoming a channel member, you hit the join button, which is next to the subscribe button. And that is a couple of dollars a month. You get a check mark next to your name, and your name will appear in all of my videos. You'll see the names when I pop them up during the next break. I won't be doing it right now, though, because we're about to go live. Blessed to be a blessing. Welcome from South Africa. Paradox said, I really want to see this, but to be completely honest, I know I'm going to cry for the victims, and I'm not looking forward to that. I'm praying for them. Well, that's Paradox. That's why we're watching together, because it is going to be sad. It is going to be sad. You're right. And we're watching this together. Let me just pull myself up so I'm not blocking my face while I'm talking to you guys. We're as soon as.
All right. Thank you. All right, this is CR 0124316665, State of Idaho versus Bryan Kohberger. Defendant is present in custody with counsel, Ms. Taylor, Ms. Massoth, Ms. Barlow. The state is represented by Mr. Thompson, Ms. Jennings, Mr. Hurwitz, Mr. Nye, and Ms. Allen. This is the time set for sentencing in this case. The defendant previously entered a plea of guilty to 4 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of felony burglary. In exchange, the parties stipulated to recommend a sentence consisting of, on burglary, 10 years fixed, on each of the 4 counts of first-degree murder, life fixed. The parties waived pre-sentence investigation. To my understanding, neither party submitted a sentencing memorandum or other materials for the court. Court is familiar with the file and the evidence submitted previously by the parties as it has reviewed them throughout the case and in anticipation of trial. Is there any legal cause why sentence should not be imposed at this time?
No, Your Honor.
Does the state, before impact statements and arguments, wish to present evidence today?
Your Honor, the state does not intend to present evidence in a documentary sense. We have provided the court through the clerk with photographs that we would like to use during the course of our sentencing argument.
Sure. All right.
Thank you.
But no testimony other than impact statements?
That's correct, Your Honor.
All right. So with that, let's start with then impact statements.
Ms. Jennings will be introducing
And my understanding, just so I'm clear, I indicated through the trial court administrator that we need to see if any of the victims wish to have the camera not running and audio only. And my understanding is all of them indicated they are fine with the video. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor, that's correct.
All right, very well. Go ahead.
Your Honor, the first, and we're taking these in the order, victim impact statements in the order that the charges were listed in the indictment. The first charge being burglary. So we will have Bethany Funke's statement, and she has asked that her friend Emily Alandt read that statement.
All right, any objection to that? All right, very well.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'll be speaking on behalf of Bethany, and so, yeah, here it reads. My name is Bethany Funke, and I was roommates with Maddie, Kaylee, Xana, and Ethan. I not only lost some of my best friends, but I also lost a sister. Never in a million years would I have thought that something like this would have happened to my closest friends. I thought that we were going to wake up and go upstairs, see them and tell them how they had scared us and that they were going to tease us about how we are constantly scaredy cats. I make jokes about it as we would go to Taco Bell like always. But sadly, that is not what happened and what turned out to be my worst nightmare. When I first woke up that morning, I had no idea what happened. I woke up around 7 with a terrible toothache, so I called my dad, who is a dentist, and he asked what I should do. He told me to take Advil, so I did, and I went back to sleep. I was still out of it and still didn't know what happened. If I had known, I of course would have called 911 right away. I still carry so much regret and guilt for not knowing what had happened and not calling right away, even though I understand it wouldn't have changed anything, not even if the paramedics had been right outside the door. I was so frantic that morning and scared to death, not knowing what had happened. And when I made the 911 call, I couldn't even get out the words. And from then on, I don't remember a thing. It was like my brain wiped that whole memory. That was the worst day of my life. And I know it always will be. While I was still in shock, trying to process the fact that my friends were truly gone, I had been attacked by the public. I was grieving, numb, and unsure of what had happened was even real. And at the same time, I was getting flooded with death threats and hateful messages from people who did not know me at all or know the dynamic of our friendship. Social media made it so much worse, and strangers made up stories to entertain themselves. The media harassed not just me, but also my family. People showed up at our house. They called my phone, my parents' phones, other family members' phones, and we were chased while I was still trying to survive emotionally and grieve the loss of my friends. I hated and still hate that they are gone, but for some reason, I am still here and I got to live. I still think about this every day. Why me? Why did I get to live and not them? For the longest time, I could not even look at their families without feeling sick with guilt. I did not know what to say or what to do. I was terrified that my presence just made their pain worse. And I was still here when their kid, their siblings and their friends, their loved ones should have been here instead. After everything happened, I was afraid to go into my own backyard or alone in my house. I was scared that the person who did this would come for me next. I was always scared that the media would try to catch me at any moment of any day, even when I was just walking around my house. I made my parents close all the blinds during the day so no one could see me even in the slightest chance. I barely left the house, and when I did, I made sure I was never alone. I slept in my parents' room for almost a year. I made them double lock every door, set an alarm, and still check everywhere in the room just in case someone was hiding. And I still check my room every night before, and I double lock it. I have not slept through a single night since this happened. I constantly wake up in panics, terrified. Someone is breaking in, or someone is here to hurt me, or I'm about to lose someone else that I love. The fear never really leaves. For a long time, I could barely get out of bed, but one day I realized I have to live for them. They did not get the chance to keep living, but I do, and I will not take that for granted. So now every day I remind myself to live for them, and everything I do it with them in mind. I am still scared to go out in public, but I force myself to do things because I know that they would want me to keep living my life to the fullest. I am beyond blessed to still be here, and I refuse to take that for granted when they did not get a chance. Our house was not just a house, it was a home. It was where we laughed till we couldn't breathe, make meals, did crafts, binge watch reality shows, played games, and spent lazy days on the couch. It was movie nights, wine nights, morning debriefs, pranks, hot chocolate, cookies, and warmth. I would cherish those memories forever, and I will not let what happened erase how special our home was or how much those memories meant to me. Now I would like to share some bits and pieces of who they were as people and some of the memories that we shared. One of my favorite memories was Halloween, and we all went to Sigma Chi. But instead of partying, we just sat in an apartment, talking and laughing all night long. I do not think I've ever laughed that hard in my life. We did not care about the party, we were just happy to be with each other. Xana was 1 in a million. She was the life of the party. But she was also the kindest and funniest person I knew. Everyone loved her because she made everyone feel so loved. She was just someone you always wanted to be around, no matter the circumstance. One of my favorite days with Xana was when we laid on the couch together all day, watching movies and snacking. Or when she, Maddie, and I would go and get margaritas, chips, and salsa. She would also light up a room with her presence alone. Kaylee had the most beautiful, radiant smile. And she was so kind, but also one of the funniest people I've ever known. She loved playing little pranks. And she always had us laughing so hard that we could not breathe. She was so full of energy and life. I really believe that she could have ruled the world if she wanted to, and she would have been America's sweetheart. Ethan was the sweetest, most genuine guy. He was always smiling and always making other people smile too. Ethan was the kind of person you wanted around. He was so kind and easy to talk to and just so fun. And the way he cared for Xana was truly something to admire. And really was proof that storybook love and true romances really do exist. It was not only obvious to me, but everyone that was around Ethan and Xana that they were absolute soulmates. Maddie was not only one of my best friends, but she was the older sister I would have always wanted. There was no one I looked up to or admired more than Maddie. She was truly a ray of sunshine, and everyone was drawn to her. She was so kind, loving, funny, fun, and passionate. She had the sweetest soul and wanted nothing but the best for everyone, and to love and show love to everyone. She took me under her wing and always made me feel so safe and included, and above all, loved and valued. She never failed to make me laugh or put a smile on my face. Still to this day, I am beyond grateful that she chose me to be her sorority little, and I thank God every day that I not only got to know her, but had her as one of my best friends. Honestly, I cannot pinpoint one favorite memory with Maddie because I have so many, and this would be a very long read if I did. But if some little memories with her that I cherish is when the two of us made a nice dinner and split some wine, or when we would binge watch Jersey Shore or Summer House. When we came up with a whole dance routine on Halloween and danced and sang all night, like no one was watching. All the late night walks home from going out, and just little shopping trips and so much more. I am beyond blessed that I had the chance to know each and every one of them. They changed my life in ways I would have never put into words. I hope that they are remembered for who they are, not what happened to them, because who they are were so beautiful, and they deserve to be remembered in the highest way. My heart breaks every time I go to text one of them or how badly I wish I could see and hang out with them. And then I remember I cannot. I will never be able to again. But I still talk to them in my prayers every single night, and I always will. I wish more than anything I could hug them one last time. And I wish I could tell them how much I love them. And even though I cannot, I still tell them every night. I will keep living for them as long as I am lucky enough to still be here. And they were all truly one of a kind. And they will be in our hearts forever and always.
Thank you. And please convey to Bethany my appreciation for her courage, and I hope that she heals.
Next is Dylan Mortensen. We're asking for some accommodations for Ms. Mortensen and that she be allowed to sit in my seat.
Sure. Dylan, just take your time, all right?
Thank you, Your Honor. What happened that night changed everything. Because of him, 4 beautiful, genuine, compassionate people were taken from this world for no reason. He didn't just take their lives. He took the light they carried into every room. He took away how they made everyone feel safe, loved, and full of joy. He took away the ability for me to tell them that I love them and that I'm so proud of them. He took away who they were becoming and the futures they were going to have. He took away birthdays, graduations, celebrations, and all the memories that we were supposed to make. All of it is gone. And all the people who loved them are just left to carry that weight forever. He didn't just take them from the world. He took them from me, my friends, my people who felt like my home, the people I looked up to and adored more than anyone. He took away my ability to trust the world around me. What he did shattered me in places I didn't know could break. I was barely 19 when he did this. We had just celebrated my birthday at the end of September. I should have been figuring out who I was. I should have been having the college experience and starting to establish my future. Instead, I was forced to learn how to survive the unimaginable. I couldn't be alone. I had to sleep in my mom's bed because I was too terrified to close my eyes. Terrified that if I blinked, someone might be there. I made escape plans everywhere I went. If something happens, how do I get out? What can I use to defend myself? Who can help? And then there are the panic attacks. The kind that slam into me like a tsunami out of nowhere. I can't breathe. I can't think. I can't stop shaking. All I can do is scream because the emotional pain and the grief is too much to handle. My chest feels like it's caving in. Sometimes I drop to the floor with my heart racing, convinced something is very wrong. It's far beyond anxiety. It's my body reliving everything over and over again. My nervous system never got the message that it is over, and it won't let me forget what he did to them. People call me strong. They say I'm a survivor, but they don't see what my new reality looks like. They don't see the panic attacks, the hypervigilance, the exhaustion, the way I scan every room I enter, the way I flinch at sudden sounds. They don't know how heavy it is to carry so much pain and still be expected to keep going, and that's because of him. He stole parts of me I may never get back. He took the version of me who didn't constantly ask, what if it happens again? What if next time I don't survive? He may have shattered parts of me, but I'm still putting myself back together. Piece by piece, I'm learning how to live in this new version of life. It is not easy. It hurts, but I'm still trying. And I'm not trying just for me. I'm trying for them, my friends. About a year ago, I had a dream about them. I got to say goodbye. I told them I won't be able to see you again, so I need to tell you goodbye. They all kept asking why, and all I could say was, I can't tell you, but I have to. When I woke up, I felt shattered and heartbroken, but also strangely grateful. Like maybe in some way that dream gave us the goodbye we never got. Still, no dream can replace them, and no goodbye will ever feel finished. He is a hollow vessel, something less than human. A body without empathy, without remorse. He chose destruction. He chose evil. He feels nothing. He tried to take everything from me. My friends, my safety, my identity, my future. He took their lives, but I will continue trying to be like them, to make them proud. Living is how I honor them. Speaking today is to help me find some sort of justice for them. And I will never let him take that from me. He may have taken so much from me, but he will never get to take my voice. He will never take the memories I had with them. He will never erase the love we shared, the laughs we had, or the way they made me feel seen and whole. Those things are mine. They are sacred, and he will never touch them. I get to feel sadness. I get to feel rage. I get to feel joy even when it's hard. I get to feel love even when it hurts. I get to live. And while I will still live with this pain, at least I get to live my life. He will stay here, empty, forgotten, and powerless.
Dylan, thank you so much for your courage. I appreciate it.
Next, we have members from the Madison Mogen family. First would be Scott Laramie, Madison Mogen's stepfather. Standing by him is Karen Laramie, Madison's mother.
Thank you, Your Honor. My name is Scott Laramie. I'm Maddie Mogen's stepfather and the husband of Maddie's mother, Karen Laramie. I will read this victim impact statement on behalf of Karen and myself. Maddie was our gift of life, our purpose, and our hope. Maddie quickly became Karen's joy, identity, and purpose in life. I joined Maddie's life when she was 2.5 years old. The experience transformed me into a life of joy, love, and family. Maddie was bright, beautiful, kind, empathic. She listened carefully to others and was observant, seeing and caring about the hearts and the minds of all she encountered. She loved music and music festivals. She had a wonderful sense of humor. She excelled in school. She was an easy child to raise, almost never requiring discipline, and almost always giving us parental joy. One time Karen remembers disciplining Maddie as a little girl. Maddie responded, "You broke my heart," which of course melted ours. She had a keen wit, even at that young age. As she transitioned into teenage years, she prioritized us and extended family over many of the distractions that capture teenagers. She showered us with her presence and love at family events, barbecues, picnics, birthdays, holidays, and others. She spent countless hours with her papa, her Uncle David, Aunt Nadine, and her other close family and friends. This world was a better place with her in it. As she reached adulthood, Maddie applied her studies to be a marketing professional, entering into an internship at Payne West, and started planning her professional future. As with all things, she involved Karen and myself in the joy of her journey. As she transitioned into womanhood, Karen and I continued to be astounded at this wonderful and accomplished person we had created. All parents dream of their children accomplishing more than them. We realized this dream, all we had not become, she was becoming. Karen and I are ordinary people, but we lived extraordinary lives because we had Maddie. Maddie was taken senselessly and brutally in a sudden act of evil. She was taken along with the young, promising, and bright lives of Kaylee, Xana, and Ethan. First, we felt disbelief. Next, we felt disorientation. Then we felt grief overcome us. Our grief is compounded even more for the Goncalves, Kernodle, and Chapin families. We speak of hope and healing, and we do have hope and some healing. But the vast emotional wound will never fully heal. Since Maddie's loss, there's emptiness in our hearts, home, and family, an endless void. After losing her mother in a car crash, Karen took years to grieve and recover. The feeling that her life with Maddie and A was perfect helped her to start to heal. Now, this is no longer perfect. After Maddie's loss, Karen felt like she was spinning out, emotionally collapsing into anxiety and depression. She sometimes asks, "How am I supposed to go on when I've lost my favorite person in the world?" I felt the same, and we continue to struggle. The loss of Maddie has impacted so many beyond our family. Her second family is her sorority sisters who grieve alongside us. She has so many close friends who suffer from her loss. We will continue to be Her loss will continue to be felt by the Vandal community, including Vandal Solutions on campus, where she volunteered her time for others. It helps us to know Maddie is in heaven now, freed from the trials of this earth. We, however, continue to live on without the grace and support of her presence. We will grow old without our only child, our bright, beautiful friend and daughter. In the end, there are no words that can accurately capture the devastation of losing Maddie. We will endure and we will go on. For Maddie, we will not let our grief consume us. For Maddie, we will continue to love and care for our family and friends, including the families of Kaylee, Xana, and Ethan. We will remain united with them. We can only hope that others out there suffering similar losses can look to us and see that we can overcome hatred, darkness, and evil. We know the law allows us to comment on the defendant and his sentence. As for his sentence, we support the plea agreement. Society needs to be protected against this evil. As for the defendant, we will not waste the words, nor will we fall into hatred and bitterness. Evil has many faces, and we now know this, but evil does not deserve our time and attention. We are done being victims. We are taking back our lives. We will turn our time, talents, and attention to hope, healing, and helping others, and to the future. We invite all those who have suffered with us on this to join us in our journey. We can make this world a better place. We can move on from tragedy. Adversity will visit us, evil will visit us, but we will overcome. We can and will endure. Karen and I express our gratitude to Your Honor and to the prosecution team for allowing us the opportunity to make this statement. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your courage, and I am so sorry for your loss. God bless
Your Honor.
Your Honor, this is Leander James. He's the attorney for the Mogen family and victim advocate. He'll be reading a statement for Karen Laramie.
May it please the court, counsel. My name is Leander James. I am the pro bono counsel for Karen and Scott Laramie. Karen has asked me to read this statement into the record. I thank my husband, Scott, for his statement, his courage, and his unending love and support during this dark time. While words are inadequate to capture the impact of this horrific crime on our family, he expressed it as best anyone could. For Maddie's sake, I will add my supplement statement that incorporates additional impact in the context of my extended family. I am grateful to Maddie's great uncle, Bryan Kohberger, for assisting me with the difficult task of putting our pain into words. For me and my extended family, Maddie was our hope and our light. Her beauty, both outside and in, shone its light upon everyone with whom she came in contact. Her beauty, she carried that hope and light into the future for our entire family. We have memories of our Maddie and grief and pain at her being taken from our presence. Any one of us would have given our own light to have been outshone by hers. We now look to our Creator to know that her light continues where we look to see her in His presence. Those who commit evil for their own twisted gains and purposes truly defile the efforts and sacrifices of mothers, fathers, families, teachers, clergy, public servants, service members, and all those who commit themselves to the greater good, freedoms, and the future light of our nation. Condemnation falls heavily upon those who squandered the lives of our future hopes and dreams. Some may offer forgiveness for what the defendant has done. However, we cannot at this time, or perhaps ever, nor will we ask for mercy for what he has done. His acts are too heinous, the agony and grief he has caused too great. But we will waste no further words or thoughts on him. For Maddie's sake, we will move on. We will do our best to carry Maddie's light into this world and make it a better place. I thank the court and the prosecution for allowing me the opportunity to make my statement. And I thank all those who have and will support my family and the families of Kaylee, Xana, and Ethan. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Laramie. Appreciate it.
Next is Ben Mogen, the father of Maddie Mogen.
Yes, of course.
Actually, Your Honor, it'll be Kim Cheeley, the grandmother of Maddie Mogen.
My name is Kim Cheeley. I was Maddie Mogen's paternal grandmother, as Ben Mogen, her father, is my son. I'm here today with my sister Lori Cheeley, Maddie's great aunt, and my son Ben Mogen, and my daughter-in-law Corey Hatrock. I'd like to begin by thanking a number of people involved in bringing this case to closure. In my daughter's words, the plea deal the prosecution team reached this month is one that punishes the perpetrator of this horrendous crime, protects the public from further harm, and allows all of us who knew and loved these kids the time to grieve without the anxiety of the long and gruesome trial, the years of appeals, and potential for mistrials along the way. My family and I are so grateful to Bill Thompson and his prosecution team for their dedication and painstaking work that forced the perpetrator to admit his guilt. We want to thank the Idaho State Police, the Moscow Police Department, the FBI, and Judge Hippler. We'd also like to thank the University of Idaho officials who have treated the families of the victims with such dignity and kindness, and who have honored the 4 victims beautifully. Maddie was my first grandchild, so when she was born, all her grandparents had the distinct pleasure of deciding what we'd like to be called. I chose Nana, pretty original. But when Maddie was about 1.5 years old, her papa, Ben's dad, and I were planning to visit the new little family in Oregon. Maddie didn't have an extensive vocabulary at the time, but for some unknown reason, she called bananas ba-deedle-deedles. When Karen and Ben told her Nana was coming to visit, she figured I say deedle-deedle for that word. So I became deedle-deedle, shortened to Deedle when she was about 6 or 7, and I was Deedle all her life. I don't think her stepdad, Scotty, ever knew my given name was Kim. Maddie's and my birthdays were 1 day apart, and a couple years before she was killed, she gave me this necklace with Deedle and Maddie engraved on it. And I added an angel wing, and it's one of my treasured possessions. I also got an angel wing tattoo. Never thought I'd see the day, but along with many members of our family, replicating the one that Maddie and her sorority sisters had, I wanted mine where I could see and touch it often. From preschool through grade school, I stopped teaching piano lessons early on Wednesdays and picked Maddie up for bubble baths, brownies, and books. It was our special time together, and she went home those nights in her jammies with a pan of warm brownies for her family. Although Karen and Scotty raised Maddie and did such a lovely job of parenting, we Mogens were lucky to have her for holidays and many other family gatherings. We'll always have our treasured memories of Maddie growing up in our big, extended, cooperative family. And I thank Karen and Scotty Laramie for being so generous and open and sharing Maddie with her Mogen side of the family. When the 4 kids were murdered, the foundation fell out of our world. Initially, the fear was truly debilitating. The first 6 weeks were excruciating. Despite the vigils, memorials, candlelight gatherings of students, friends, family, community members. After the arrest in the past 2.5 years, my family has lived with grief, with the effects of traumatic grief, of which I was blissfully unaware before all of this. I now have a stack of books on grief. I've attended grief classes at hospice. I've tried EMDR, a technique that helps replace disturbing visions with something more comforting. My son Ben, his 2 sisters, Maddie's aunts, and I have all experienced depression and anxiety and sleep disturbance, requiring medical intervention at times. We've all sought counseling off and on. The struggle with media attention was extremely difficult, especially for Ben. No one should live through the violent murder of one's child. Some days it's beyond me how the parents of these kids are still upright. I'm thankful for the strong families and communities that are supporting the survivors. At the time, I could think of only 2 blessings surrounding the horrific murders. One was that Ben was living with my partner Tom and me at the time, and that we could support each other emotionally through it all. Sadly, Tom died a year ago of a rare brain cancer, and he won't be here to see justice served. He was our family's rock, and we all miss him every day. A second blessing is that my mother died of COVID several months before the kids were killed, and she didn't have to live through the horror. It was difficult to identify blessings. So we've all lost our dear child and a future with her. I ache for the loss of the dreams that she and her true love, Jake, held. And my heart goes out to Karen and Scotty and your side of Maddie's family. You've had more than your share of loss. My heart aches for the kids' roommates and the families of the other victims, and also the family of the perpetrator. Going forward, we Mogens are choosing to put our energy and focus into honoring Maddie's too short life and sweet spirit by celebrating Maddie May Day, which my 2 daughters established. On May 25th each year, Maddie's birthday, we encourage folks to do random acts of kindness in Maddie's name. In my daughter Katie's words, May we all protect our peace in whatever way possible, unite in community, and focus on joy. Please do an act in kindness in Maddie's honor during this week, so a glimmer of Maddie's light may live on. Thank you.
Thank you, and appreciate your courage, and bless you and your family.
Thank you.
Now it's Ben Mogen, Maddie Mogen's father.
I'm Benjamin Mogen. I'm Maddie's dad. And first, I just want to say thanks to all the people that helped bring this all to a close. I know it's not the resolution that everyone, wanted, but I think that that everyone worked so hard, and we really appreciate all their efforts. It was such a hard thing to go through for everybody. Maddie was my only child that I ever had. She's the only great thing I ever really did, and the only thing I was really ever proud of. And I thought we would have the rest of our lives together to be together and know each other, and I took for granted the times, she was in college, and I thought, oh, well, we'll have the rest of our lives to do all the stuff that we're supposed to do, and she was just about done. She actually earned all of her credits for her college degree, and Karen and Scotty and I got to go and get her diploma that she actually earned, and she served every bit of that. And but I thought that that was going to be just the beginning of a long life together, and we never got that. Karen and Scotty did such a great job raising her after Karen and I split up, and I'm so thankful for Scotty and the role that he played in her life when I wasn't able to. But we got to spend a lot of great times together, Maddie and I. She was my favorite person to go to a concert with. We got to see some fun shows together, and I told her, if there's ever a show that you want to go to, let me know, and I'll get you tickets for you and your friend, or if we want to go together, we'll make it happen. And my favorite memory with her was when the Mac Miller show sold out here in Spokane, and everyone wanted tickets, no one could get them, and on the last day before the show, they did a radio thing, and I got 4 meet and greet tickets for Maddie and her friends and me to go and see the show, and that was her favorite artist at the time, was Mac Miller, and he's gone now too, and my little cousin Zach drove us all there that night, and he's gone too, tragically. And anyway, the last thing that she ever wrote to me was this Father's Day card, and I'm so glad I still have it. I'm just going to read what she said. It says, "Happy Father's Day. I hope you have the best day. I can't wait till we can hang out again soon. I'll be in Coeur d'Alene, 624 to 74. Hopefully we can find a time then. I love your birthday card that you sent me, by the way. Maybe we can see a concert sometime soon. I'd love to see the gorge when it's not so smoky out. I hope you're doing well. I'm proud of how far you've come. Thank you for always encouraging me to do my best. Love you lots and lots. Love, Maddie May. She did encourage me to not just to do my best, but to live on. I went through a lot of issues with addiction and with substance abuse, and when I wasn't wanting to live anymore, she was what would keep me from just not caring anymore. And knowing that she was out there and that she was just such a beautiful person kept me alive a lot of rough moments. And I'm so glad that she was able to meet Jake. He was the only one that actually ever got to take her to the gorge. They went and saw Watershed together, and yeah, they had a heck of a time. So I'm glad she got to. That's a really special place for me. And she always wanted to work out there with me in the summer sometime. She never got to, but at least she got to see it once with Jake. He was such a great guy. He is such a great guy. And I really wanted to see what a future with them would have looked like. I'll never be able to replace her. I wrote a bunch of stuff. I just don't know what to say right now. I just miss her so much, and I just love her more than anything. And it shouldn't have happened. And a death sentence is one thing. You know when it's going to happen, and it's going to be all gentle and stuff. But life without parole, with a building full of people that all just want you to not be around anymore, winking at every morning, not knowing if that's the day they're going to pull your card. I mean, it's not a very nice sentence either. So, I don't know. I just love you, Maddie, and I wish you were still here.
Thank you so much.
Your Honor, next would be members from the Kaylee Goncalves family. First will be her father, Steve Goncalves.
Today, we are here to finish what you started. Today, you've lost control. Today, we are here to prove to the world that you picked the wrong families. The wrong state, the wrong police officers, the wrong community. You tried to break our community apart. You tried to plant fear. You tried to divide us. You failed. Instead, your actions have united everyone in their disgust for you. I just learned from these lead investigators, to their shock, they worked in an investigation and actually worked with Pennsylvania police officers and the federal FBI. You united everyone. Everyone was united after you. None of us are divided. We are united in our disgust and our love for these children. Today, you have no name. Because when this all started, we all came together and we said, let's stop even talking about his name and just use initials. So even the media just calls you BK. That's all you are. Looking back when the police officers knocked on my door, told me what happened to my child, told me what happened to Maddie Mae, I don't think he was even out of the driveway before my kids turned around, looked at me and said, what do we do, Dad? I told them, you get to work. You get your ass to work. And we started calling, we started texting, we started emailing. And you know what? Within hours, we had your white car on the camera. We knew from the very beginning we had you. Police officers tell us within minutes, they had your DNA, like a calling card. You were that careless, that foolish, that stupid. Master degree, you're a joke, complete joke. But we took this disaster and we did what we could. We put everything online. We took our kids, we took our images, we took everything that they did, their videos, their photos, the girls' pranks, Ethan singing. We put it out there, we shared it with the world. And the world united. And all they ended up, when they talked about this case, is they talked about Kaylee Jade, Maddie Mae, Xana, and Ethan. Everything that these people meant to us, a father, a mother, a brother, a sister, we shared that with our community. Then we shared it with our state. We shared it with the country, and eventually we shared it with the world. The world's watching because of the kids, not because of you. Nobody cares about you. You're not worth the time, the effort to be remembered. Forgotten to the wind, no visitors, nothing more than initials on an otherwise unmarked tombstone. From this moment, we've all started. From this moment, we will forget you. We want to all leave in closing. One last thing. You picked the wrong family, and we're laughing at you on your trip to the pen. That will be today or tomorrow. I'll close with, God bless all the men and women that worked on this case and all the hard work that you guys did. You guys allowed us to grieve and allowed us to get through this. The amount of work that you guys put together and the way that you guys put it together was beautiful. There was hard times to be expected, but thank you all. God bless.
Thank you.
Your Honor, next is Stephen Goncalves, Kaylee's brother. Stephen's actually gonna pass. I'm gonna go. Okay. Olivia Goncalves, Kaylee's sister.
Hello, I'd like to start by thanking the court for allowing me the time and opportunity to speak today. My name is Olivia, and I'm the big sister of Kaylee Goncalves, and I was blessed to love Madison Mogen as a sister too. I'm not here today to speak in grief, I'm here to speak in truth. Because the truth is, my sister Kaylee and her best friend Maddie were not yours to take. They were not yours to study, to stalk, or to silence. They were two pieces of a whole, the perfect yin and yang. They are everything that you could never be. Loved, accepted, vibrant, accomplished, brave, and powerful. Because the truth about Kaylee and Maddie is they would have been kind to you. If you had approached them in their everyday lives, they would have given you directions, thanked you for the compliment, or awkwardly giggled to make your own words less uncomfortable for you. In a world that rejected you, they would have shown mercy. Because the truth is, I'm angry. Every day I'm angry. I'm left shouting at the inside of my own head everything I wish I could say to you. The truth about me is when I heard the news, I didn't cry. I listened for them. I promised them I would, that I would fight for them, that I would show up no matter what it cost me. I swore I'd never let them feel alone. Because you see, I've always been their heavyweight. I've always been the one to fight the battles they didn't feel ready to fight themselves. All it ever took was a call, and they knew I would handle it for them, no matter the time, no matter the cost. They could wave their white flag because they knew I would never back down, not for them, and not even death could change that. Somewhere along the line, I started to think about what I would say to them if I was given just one last chance. If I could gather enough heartbreak or love or sacrifice or whatever it took to get just one message across, what would I say? Throughout this entire process, I've written my feelings down at every moment, my wishes, my love, my denial, my anger. And as one final act of love, I'd planned to read these thoughts, even jarring and discombobulating and not even making sense. Because for me, that was true love. As bare and as naked as it could be, not laced in pretty words or dressed for the occasion, but written through bleary eyes at 2 a.m. with clenched fists, angry at this reality. My true final act of love was to continue on without them, for them. That dream to read aloud my love to them, to bring meaning through pain, was the latest blow in realizing you don't deserve it. And Kaylee and Maddie don't need it. Kaylee and Maddie have always known my love, and they would never ask me to prove it by further victimizing myself to a defendant who has shown no guilt, no remorse, no apprehension. They would say to me, why would you give the satisfaction of showing vulnerability now? You promised you would never back down. And for that clarity, I'm thankful. I won't stand here and give you what you want. I won't offer you tears. I won't offer you trembling. Disappointments like you thrive on pain, on fear, and on the illusion of power. And I won't feed your beast. Instead, I will call you what you are. Sociopath, psychopath, murderer. I will ask the questions that reverberate violently in my own head, so loudly that I can't think straight most any day. Some of these might be familiar, so sit up straight when I talk to you. How was your life right before you murdered my sisters? Did you prepare for the crime before leaving your apartment? Please detail what you were thinking and feeling at this time. Why did you choose my sisters? Before making your move, did you approach my sisters? Detail what you were thinking and feeling. Before leaving their home, is there anything else you did? How does it feel to know the only thing you failed more miserably at than being a murderer is trying to be a rapper? Did you recently start shaving or manually pulling out your eyebrows? Why November 13th? Did you truly think your Amazon purchase was untraceable because you used a gift card? How do you find it enjoyable to stargaze with such a severe case of visual snow? Where is the murder weapon, the clothes you wore that night? What did you bring into the house with you? What was the second weapon you used on Kaylee? What were Kaylee's last words? Please describe in detail the level of anxiety you must have felt when you heard the Bearcat pull up to your family home on December 30th, 2022. Which do you regret more? Returning to the crime scene 5 hours later, or never, ever going back to Moscow, not even once, after stalking them there for months? If you were really smart, do you think you'd be here right now? What's it like needing this much attention just to feel real? You're terrified of being ordinary, aren't you? Do you feel anything at all? Or are you exactly what you always feared? Nothing. If you're so powerful, then why are you still hiding, defendant? You see, I'm here today as me. But who are you? Let's try to take off your mask and see. You didn't create devastation. You revealed it in yourself. And that darkness you carry, that emptiness, you'll sit with it long after this is over. That is your sentence. And it was written on the wall long before you ever pled guilty. You didn't win. You just exposed yourself as the coward you are. You're a delusional, pathetic, hypochondriac loser who thought you were so much smarter than everybody else. Constantly scolding, turning your nose up to grammar mistakes, nitpicking and criticizing others. You wanted so badly to be different, to be special, to be better, to be deep, to be mysterious. You found yourself thinking you were better than everyone else, and you thought you could figure out the human psyche and see through it, all while tweaked out on heroin. Lurking in the shadows made you feel powerful because no one ever paid you any attention in the light. You thought you were exceptional, all because of a grade on a paper. You thought you were elite because your online IQ test from 2010 told you so. All of that effort just to seem important. It's desperate. There is a name for your condition, though. Your inflated ego just didn't allow you to see it. Wannabe. You act like no one could ever understand your mind, but the truth is you're basic. You're a textbook case of insecurity disguised as control. Your patterns are predictable. Your motives are shallow. You are not profound. You're pathetic. You aren't special or deep, not mysterious or exceptional. Don't ever get it twisted again. No one is scared of you today. No one is intimidated by you. No one is impressed by you. No one thinks that you are important. You orchestrated this like you thought you were God. Now look at you, begging a courtroom for scraps. You spent months preparing, and still all it took was my sister in a sheath. You work so hard to seem dangerous, but real control doesn't have to prove itself. The truth is, the scariest part about you is how painfully average you turned out to be. The truth is, you're as dumb as they come. Stupid, clumsy, slow, sloppy, weak, dirty. Let me be very clear. Don't ever try to convince yourself you mattered just because someone finally said your name out loud. I see through you. You want the truth? Here's the one you'll hate the most. If you hadn't attacked them in their sleep, in the middle of the night, like a pedophile, Kaylee would have kicked your fucking ass. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Christy Goncalves, Kaylee Goncalves' mother.
Thank you, Your Honor. I never imagined having to speak to someone so devoid of humanity. For a long time, I didn't think I'd find the words low enough to meet you where you are. But now I realize this isn't about you. It's about what you've done to me, and I need you to hear it. When you murdered my daughter, Kaylee J. Goncalves, you didn't just take her life, you shattered others. You attacked what you could never be, and in doing so, you left a trail of devastation far beyond that house. You stole my peace. You've altered my every waking moment, every sleepless night, the way I view the world, people, safety, trust. It's all been changed by your cruelty. I no longer recognize parts of myself. Joy is harder to find. Laughter feels foreign. The world moves forward, but I'm suspended in a place of sorrow and rage. You've taken from me something that can never be restored. The grief sits with me every day, some days quietly, and other days so loud it drowns out everything else. The emotional toll you've inflicted on me is immeasurable. I live with a constant ache, with birthdays that are now memorials, with holidays that feel hollow, with empty chairs that scream louder than words ever could. I am forever changed. But for you, as a person working on a PhD in criminal justice, you really didn't think this one through. You're not that good. In fact, you're not that good at anything. You couldn't secure a job. You couldn't get along with others. You couldn't even get a female to look in your direction. All because you are pathetic. Now you're a joke in this courtroom. I wish I could crown you with a jester hat to complete your orange jumpsuit clown look. A dead killer doesn't kill again. So while I'm disappointed the firing squad won't get to take their shots at you, I'm confident that the men in prison will have their way with you in more ways than one. You will finally get what you wanted, physical touch. Just probably not how you were expecting it. See, you haven't beat the system. You've simply entered a new one, where the rules are cruel and the consequences will never end. You are entering a place where no one will care who you are and no one will ever respect you. You will be forgotten, discarded, used, and erased. You will always be remembered as a loser, an absolute failure. And when those prison doors slam shut behind you, I hope that sound echoes in your heart for the rest of your meaningless days. I hope it reminds you of what we all already know. You're nothing. May you continue to live your life in misery. You are officially the property of the state of Idaho, where your fellow inmates are anxiously awaiting your arrival. But it's okay, because they're there to help you. Hell will be waiting. Quick message from our youngest daughter. Aubrey wanted to say, you may have received A's in high school and college, but you're going to be getting big D's in prison.
Thank you. Do we have more from the Goncalves family, or are you?
Yes. Next would be Shannon Gray, the Goncalves family attorney. He'll be reading statements from Kaylee Goncalves' grandmothers.
Morning, Your Honor. Shannon Gray, the attorney for the Goncalves family. I actually have 3 statements, one from her aunt and 2 from her grandparents. This is from her aunt, Tammy Butts. You, in the cloak of darkness, made a decision to turn our whole family's world upside down forever. You, in the cloak of darkness, took our Kaylee J. Goncalves away from us all without hesitation. Never have you shown any remorse or regret. We just get creepy, non-expressive stares as you have your team of women defend you. Kaylee was a strong, kind, fun-loving, caring person, and she will greatly be missed by all her family and friends for the rest of our lives. She had goals in life that you took from her and us. We lose on watching her enjoying her life, working hard and building the future she wanted. She was ready to start that after college life. You in the cloak of darkness took it all away. You left us without her future wedding, her future children that she would have added to our family. No more talking to her on the phone, going for a coffee, celebrating holidays. It's all gone. You in the cloak of darkness gave each and every one of Kaylee's family members their own lifetime sentence. You in the cloak of darkness also took our Maddie Mae from all of us. She was so genuine, caring, polite. She was part of our family. You came in, harmed our children that were younger women than you in their own beds. You're nothing, you're a coward. It's not right that you have received life. I pray that you meet your end in the cloak of darkness, burn in hell. I have two other statements, Your Honor. This is Linda Lucan's statement. This is Kaylee's grandmother. I really don't know how to address something so inhumane, but I will try. Nothing in the past 2.5 years has made any sense. All I get is you cowardly went into a home at night, filled with what I'm sure you thought was all sleeping girls, and went on a vicious killing spree for no other reason but to appease your demonic urges. You took my granddaughter Kaylee from us, plus 3 other beautiful lives. You took my granddaughter Kaylee, beautiful, sweet-souled, doll-faced Kaylee, who was getting ready to start her amazing life, who had such a bright future, who was loved by so many, who you were so envious of. She had a life you could never have. You are so beyond human. You're definitely a demon from hell. I truly wish your punishment would be the same death you inflicted on our kids. But I think you will meet some new friends in prison who will be there just to help you. Thumbs up. And I have one last statement, Your Honor. This is from Cheryl Goncalves, Kaylee's other grandmother. John 1:5 says, light shines in the darkness, and the darkness overcomes it not. Somewhere in your life, some jealousy, envy, ego, something went dark. It pushed out all light until you became dark and evil. And when you saw my granddaughter and her friends, their light, because they have such a light, you couldn't stand it. Because the darkness in you could not stand the light in them. And so you decided to destroy it. Cowardly, you walked into their rooms in the dark and took their lives, hoping to get rid of your darkness. But you didn't. You failed. Because you know what was once a light shown only to their friends, families, and loved ones is now all over the world. Everyone sees it. Their smile, their beauty, their plans, everything they were and had. And you think you put a close to it, even that, but you didn't. Because they still exist. They are still light. They are still beautiful. You can never take that away. They will always be in the light of all eternity. And you will be in the darkness because you could not overcome it. You failed. I want you to be gone, more than gone. I want you to be cast out. Cast out from my life, from my family, from this earth. I will not allow your hatred to penetrate into my own soul. You did not get that power. You are evil, and in the end, evil is eradicated. You didn't take Kaylee's light, you spread it into the world. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right. If the are you moving to a different family now? All right, why don't we take a 10-minute recess? All right.
Wow, you guys. Oh my gosh. That was I'll move myself back to the corner as soon as he comes back from the break. We're doing a 10-minute break. That was just powerful. We had Emily Alandt spoke first for Bethany Funke, who is one of the surviving roommates. Dylan Mortensen also came in person. She had to sit down. She was shaking and crying, but she also gave a statement, bravely spoke out. Then we heard from Madison Mogen's family. We heard from Scott Laramie, her stepfather, and her mother. He spoke for both of them. And also, Karen Laramie had a victim's advocate speak out on her behalf regarding Maddie. Maddie's paternal grandmother also spoke out. She was called Deedle. Maddie called her Deedle. And then we heard from Ben Mogen, Maddie's biological father, who also spoke out about Maddie. Next, we heard from the Goncalves family. Steve Goncalves spoke first. He turned his back to Bryan Kohberger and addressed the room with his back to him. He said, everyone is united in our love for the children. Then we had Olivia, that is Kaylee's oldest sister. She got up, and Bryan Kohberger did away cruelly with young women because he did not like women. And she took him apart. I think it's only fitting that a young woman took him apart, and she did. And she was really strong and passionate in what she had to say. And then after Olivia was done, Kaylee's mother, Christy, got up and she gave a very passionate speech. And then finally, we heard from the Goncalves family attorney, Shannon Gray. He read 3 statements. 2 were from Kaylee's grandparents, and 1 was from her aunt, so her great aunt. So we had an opportunity to hear from everything. I think the biggest movement that we saw from Bryan Kohberger was when Olivia was speaking. If you back up and you watch him while she's giving that statement, that seemed to, in my opinion, seemed to reach him the most. And I thought it showed a lot of strength. I want to thank all of you guys. Tracy summed it up for all of us. She says, I was sobbing and cheering at the same time. Great job from everyone so far. I loved Christy's mic drop statement. And Sapina says, I loved Olivia's statement. She had his number from the start. She researched how to get to sociopaths and psychopaths. I know I would have done that. Narcissists can't stand criticism. And Jacqueline says, all of the impact statements have been amazing. Thanks for modding today, Deb. That's okay. If you guys missed Dylan and Bethany's statements, it's definitely worth backing it up to hear it. While we have a quick break, I want to thank Michael for the $1.99 super sticker. Thank you so much. Green Eye Sparkle, thank you so much for being a channel member for 12 months. She says she is praying for justice. Thank you, Green Eye Sparkle, for the $19.99 super sticker. That is so kind of you. The court is on a 10-minute break. We will resume now in about 8 minutes. So thank you so much, Green Eye Sparkle. Wow, you guys are so kind. Thank you so much. And Enjust, thank you for the 20 pounds. I really appreciate it. Enjust says, thank you so much. Thank you, Jessica, for streaming this all for us all. Much love. Love you too. And thank you so much for your kindness. Jenna, thank you so much for the $2 super sticker. That is very kind of you and very generous. I really appreciate it. And thank you, Michael, for the $1.99 super sticker. Thank you so much. I am grateful. I'll be putting this toward a camera. And Helga says, thank you for the $4.99 super sticker. Thank you so much. She says, I wish I could hug these families. They are taking their power back. Yes, I think that is one of the biggest things that we have seen is the fact that the family members are taking back their power. I agree with you guys that I think Olivia absolutely researched psychopath and sociopath, and her statement, I think, bothered him the most of anybody else's statements that we've seen so far. So I think it was amazing. Las Vegas girl says, I'm so proud of everyone who gave statements today, but the Goncalves family took it to the extreme. Yeah, they did. They were all of us, right? This is like, Christy's giving you hugs, Michael. My Vespa says, I'm surprised the judge allowed the clapping from the bystander. I don't know what he's going to really do to stop it. I mean, I think that they, you know, what's he going to do? He can't really stop it. So we still have more victim impact statements to hers here. So far, we've not heard from the Kernodle family yet. We've heard from Dylan and Bethany. We've heard from the Mogen family, who are also the Laramie's. We've heard from the Goncalves family. And so next, I think we are going to hear from the Kernodle family. So we expect to hear that next. And you're right, Barbara. You're right, Vespa. Barbara says, very powerful. And Veronica said, I'm so glad the judge allowed them to say the things they wanted to say. I think the judge reads those statements before they read them out loud, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if he does or doesn't. Donna says, God bless the judge. Yeah, he was crying too. The judge was also crying, particularly when Maddie's grandmother, Grandma Deedle, spoke. And she showed a lot of compassion and empathy for everyone, and just kindness and gratitude for everyone who had worked on this case and resolved the case. She expressed gratitude to the judge. She expressed gratitude to the prosecution. She expressed gratitude to law enforcement. And I saw the judge tearing up a couple of times. He had to wipe his eyes at one point. It was just so moving. And it absolutely was. We're at lunch. When we get a lunch break, we will look at where Bryan Kohberger is going to be spending the rest of his life. We'll take a look at some photos from the Idaho maximum security prison. Bryan Kohberger is in his prison orange. We had heard from Nate Eaton that he was in street clothes. And I don't know if this was just like a misprint, like he was, just typing really fast. And maybe that was what the pause was. We had a pause at the beginning, and the judge may have made him change into his orange jumpsuit. I don't know. Maybe Ann Taylor thought she would try to put him in his suit. Ice cream, don't worry. You can back up to the beginning of the live stream. It's definitely worth watching. Let me tell you, when the victim impact statements began, 36 minutes in is when Emily Alandt stood up to speak for Bethany, Funke roommate Bethany. And we now found out why Bethany called her father. She had a toothache. Her dad is a dentist, and she was in pain and hurting. And then 46 minutes in, we heard from Dylan. 54 minutes in, we heard from Maddie Mogen's family began, and the Goncalves family began at 1 hour, 23 minutes in. So if you want to back it up, that should give you guys some bookmarks. I'll be bookmarking this. Also, thank you so much for modding today. Barbara says, good afternoon. Everyone hit the thumbs up button on your way in and subscribe. It's free. Yes, subscribing is free, and it helps me out a lot. It lets YouTube know that I'm doing a quality show, that I'm not, I'm watching my words, that we're keeping it classy, which is really, really important. Nick, thank you so much for the $5 super sticker. Nick said, did you see BK's head turn and follow Olivia after she gave him the smackdown? He was glaring after she finished. He was visibly angry. Yeah, I think the biggest reaction, and you're right, Nick, was when Olivia spoke. That is when we saw the most blinking, the most movement that we've seen out of Bryan Kohberger during all of the statements, is when Olivia got up. Remember, this is a man who absolutely does not like women. We have heard over and over that he has had a problem with women. We know he was removed from high school. He had to finish high school online, not suspended, literally removed from his high school program. We've heard that he was making women at University of Idaho uncomfortable by staring at them. He didn't go to that university, so I'm not clear on why he was sitting in the student union in the cafeteria, sipping water, staring at them. I think it was intentional. We've heard from the Seven Sirens owner that he made women servers who were just trying to do their job feel uncomfortable. We heard from WSU students who have said that they were, he was grading them differently. He was following them to their cars. He was using his body to try to block them and force them to go around him. So I think when Olivia Goncalves, Kaylee's oldest sister, stood up and spoke, and literally called him a sociopath and a psychopath, and told him he would be nothing. I think that that was probably the one that probably, if I had to guess like which one bothered him the most, I would say it was that one. First of all, it's a young woman, which is what he despises, and this young woman took him apart. I thought it was very, very fitting. So thank you, Olivia Goncalves. I would love to interview Olivia. Yeah, and Jazz is right. He couldn't attract them. And Tammy says, BK can do nothing to her or any of them. The victims are taking their life back. Yes, this was very empowering. Very, very empowering to watch. I do want to say thank you to Helga for the $9.99, super sticker. Thank you so much. That is very kind of you. She says, for the camera fund, I absolutely love your channel. Thank you so much. And this has been a very emotional day, which is why we are watching this together. And if you want to get on your phone and come on up and talk to me in the top chat, come on up and talk to me. Once the hearing starts, what I'm doing is I'm just putting my mic on silent and minimizing myself, because I hate when I'm trying to watch and people are talking and oohing and eyeing. I think so. I don't do that when I'm watching with you guys, but I am talking to people in the top chat. I can't do too many comments. A couple of times YouTube has said I was spamming, which is, I guess I was just trying to answer too many people, so I can answer sporadically, but I absolutely can answer. Tammy said that thinks that interview would be amazing. Yeah, I would love to interview Olivia. I would love to interview her. She is just an amazing young woman. What an inspiration for her to get up and do that. And I think that the Goncalves family as a whole, the president of the United States weighed in on this. He wanted the judge to force Bryan Kohberger to allocute, to say what he did. And of course, the judge cannot do this. Bryan Kohberger has a Fifth Amendment right. You've probably heard of people taking the Fifth, right? He has a Fifth Amendment right not to speak. And so he did not do this. He hasn't spoken yet, but is he going to give a victim some type of a statement, some type of allocution or apology? We don't know yet, as the family members get to go first. Thank you, Donna Bravo, for the $4.99 super sticker. That is so nice of you. Pam says, Olivia should get a law degree. Maybe in the future, she should become a no-nonsense judge. And yeah, let's see. Thank you so much, Sapina Colada. Sapina Colada, that's so cute. Thank you for streaming this with us. It's nice to have company when you're triggered. This is for the camera fund. We need 1080p or 4K streams. Yeah, I am working on that. I have I'm hoping to have the new camera for next week. I didn't want to try it out on this hearing because I was worried, if I didn't want to have technical issues on this hearing. This is just, so I'll try it on just like a regular live stream, where if I have a technical problem, I can deal with it without interrupting victim impact statements. This is just so important to have these people who have been waiting for 2.5 years. And I think the Goncalves family has done an amazing job of advocating for Kaylee. They are absolutely trying everything to get and have succeeded in getting a national conversation going. They've gotten a national conversation going on the victims' rights, weighing out what the victims need, and also balancing that with what the accusee, the defendant in this case. So very, very important. I want to, Leanne has gifted a reporter room membership. Thank you so much for that, Leanne. If you receive that, please make sure you say thank you to Leanne. And Nick said, thank you so much for the $5 super sticker. Nick says, for a man that hates women, funny how he lets a woman fight his battles for him. His hero, Elliot Rogers, would be so disappointed. Hashtag camera fun. Thank you so much for that, Nick. I agree with you. And Ms. BC says Olivia is amazing. We're just waiting for the judge to come back in. We are on a 10-minute break. We're getting close to the 10-minute mark, but I would imagine that there probably is a line to use the restroom. I don't think anybody wanted to get up during these impact statements. They they were really, really powerful. We are just waiting for the judge to come back in, and then we will get back to it. But very, very powerful. Come on up and talk to me. Tell me what you guys are thinking about this. Elle says, I bet he's seething. Jacqueline got the membership. She says, thank you for the gift of the membership. So that is wonderful. So I will be marking these of where we are on this. Let me see if I have that right. I'm writing down all of the stuff. Of the timestamp, so that what I can do at the end is timestamp this video. So anybody that wants to go back and watch it, they'll be able to just go to that timestamp and click in. So I'll be making chapters. So we have new channel members, Lulu and Philly Girl and Blasty Pow Pow. Cyborg Mama's been a channel member for a month. And Jazz gifted 5 reporter room memberships, which is so nice. Lulu gifted a reporter room membership. I'm just going to write these down. And we're just waiting for the judge to come back in to tell us the rest. During the lunch break, when we have a little bit more time, I will be absolutely going through where the prison pictures of where Bryan Kohberger is going to be staying. So thank you, Leanne Mom Wow, for the $5 super sticker. That is so nice of you. Thank you so, so much. And thank you, Texas Life Julie, for being a channel member for 2 months. Thank you so much. And if you guys are wondering, well, how do I do a membership? Well, you might get one if you come up into the top chat and talk to me, but you can also get one by just hitting the join button, which is next to the subscribe.
Be seated. All right, Ms. Jennings.
Thank you, Your Honor. The next family is the family of Xana Kernodle. And first would be Jasmine Kernodle, Xana's sister. I want to say thank you to everyone who's been involved in this, and just for all the hard work and dedication you guys have put into this. I just want to thank everyone for the support, and just my family and friends who've been around through this time. I went back and forth on whether to speak today, because the truth is, you don't deserve power over my feelings, my words, or me.
Thank you. In the end, I realized this moment isn't about you. It's about justice for Xana, Ethan, Kaylee, and Maddie. It's about honoring the beautiful, beautiful people they were and still are in God's eyes. On November 13th, 2022, a piece of my heart was ripped away. There's no way to ever fully describe the weight of losing my sister, my best friend. No sentence or punishment will ever come close to the justice Xana, Ethan, Kaylee, and Maddie deserve. Xana was everyone's best friend. She was kind, she was funny. She was a gift to each person she was able to make an impact on. Xana was someone I turned to when I needed direction or advice. Although I am her older sister, I often found myself looking up to her. She had a radiant energy that everyone loved, and she always knew the right way to approach a problem. She knew how precious and special life was, and she truly did live every day to the fullest. Yet her story was cut short by an act of evil. I believe in a God whose justice is not bound by this courtroom. I find peace knowing that judgment ultimately belongs to him. For your sake, I hope one day you feel the full weight of what you did. I hope you take accountability. I hope you truly experience the guilt and you surrender yourself to Jesus Christ. Because no punishment on this earth can ever compare to the isolation and pain of eternal separation from God. Xana deserved more. They all did. But I come here to say this. I am strong. I am brave. I'm a fighter, just like Xana. And you don't get to control how I move forward or what I believe. I walk with the comfort of knowing I will see my sister again. Xana didn't get the future she deserved. She won't be the maid of honor at my wedding, the cool aunt to my future children. I'll never hear her laugh or see her light up a room ever again. But I will carry her with me for the rest of my life. I will live in her honor, fight to be the best kind of woman and someone she's proud of, to make sure the world never forgets who she was. Xana's story doesn't end with what was taken from her. It lives through the love she gave, the people she touched, and the legacy our family will protect. Her light still shines, and her voice will echo louder than this pain. You didn't take that from us, and you never will.
Thank you.
I just want to say before I start, I'm Xana's dad, Jeff Kernodle. It's been a hard road down, because she's gone. And I want to thank everybody, other their families that's speaking so far, spoke about things. I agree with everything they have to say. It all comes back to a lot of the same things that I've had to deal with and we as a family have had to deal with. And that brings me, basis of what I'm talking about a little bit is on my way up here, flying up here in the plane and about halfway through the flight, this little girl calling out for her dad. Hey, dad. And then in my mind, I was kind of half asleep. It's dark on the plane. I heard Xana calling out for me like she did, back when she was little, 5 years old. And those times were hard. It was chaotic, but we always had something to work toward that was in a positive direction, compared to right now, which is necessarily not as positive as that for sure. And I know I miss Xana a lot. My life's been changed, and Xana had a great impact on me, and the impact was when she was gone. I realized how important she was and what she really did for me, influenced me, was way beyond what I ever thought. She'd call me up on the weekends, check on me, see who's with me. She's like accountability to your youngest daughter. And that really made a big difference. It made me really think about things and what it's all about, That's the things that I miss the most is those calls on the weekends, the calls at 11 at night. What's going on? You want to meet my friend? Whoever she's with, a couple of her friends, I can meet them, talk to them. And she always did that. And it's pretty cool. I really miss that. And she made a big impact on me, on other people, her family, but the impact that she made is so extensive on what happened here. And it goes so far. People from everywhere in the world, are following things, and Xana has made a difference in their lives. So, countless people told me that they might not even know her. They never knew anything about her. It's what they see, and they just love her and say how they wish she could have been their friend. Because
could have been their friend, could hung out, and it's like, this is a blessing, you know. This is who the little kid was, and definitely was a big blessing in my life, and so is Jasmine, and basically, you know, we worked hard to do the things we did, that, you know, through the times they were growing up, and through those times, I realized that I wanted both of them to graduate college, and that'd be the ultimate thing for them to do to prepare for the world. Then it came back to me. Xana didn't get to finish college. He had it all figured out, and this all just came back to me when I was there, and that little girl was on the plane doing that. It's like where I was going, what I was going here for. And then I just realized and thought to myself about the wonderful life that she had and we had together. And we, you know, I still get to have with Jasmine, but that's the part that really counted. It's the part that really counted, is those memories. And those are what I have left, the memories with her and the ones I can make with her, and the life that I can go on with now, which is what she wants. And I say that in present tense because that's what she wants, because I've been told that, you know, I've been countless ways that she's out there and has a way to communicate, which I'm very grateful for. That goes to say that the impact of what happened to them, all 4 kids, goes so much further than just not me, the parents, the families, the community. It goes so far, because a lot of kids, you know, in the colleges, just for an example, they lock their doors now. The door wasn't locked in the back. You know, at Penn State or wherever it was, all the colleges I know that I've heard, they all lock their doors now. So maybe the impact that it's going to make is going to help out and maybe protect some people. Having this outreach and having the influence of what these kids, what happened to these kids did, you know. All I know is I was 7 miles away when it happened, and she wasn't feeling that good. It was 11:30, and I almost went over to Susanna's to say, and I would have been sitting right there in that couch, and you had to deal with me. So they would have had a chance, and I regret that, and I regret not going. But the reason why I didn't is because Xana said, "Don't be drinking and driving. You got the rental car. Don't be drinking and driving." You know, the week before that, so she was she would have been mad at me to do that. But I really wish I would have drunk and drove, you know, because they would have had a chance, all 4 of them. At this point, I just have to go on. We're gonna go on with everything and make things better in my life, because that's what it's all about. If I have closure in things, and the part that we miss is Xana, her influence, her smile, the things that she did, and we have the memories left, the great memories, and she just wants us to make more memories and not be sad or upset or shocked or taken for that, you know. And that's what we're gonna do. We just have to. That's all I got.
Thank you for your words and your courage, and bless your family.
Next, Kim Kernodle would like to address the court.
Thank you, Your Honor. My name is Kim Kernodle. I am Xana's aunt. I was very blessed to have her in my life, in our family. And I thought I had everything in my head, what I wanted to say, but it kind of went out. And I'm always looking for the positive thing, because evil, hate can destroy people. And that's what it started doing with our family. It created anger with our family members. And then I had to look, because Xana was everything that the media, her friends said. She was that fun, loving, high-spirited, beautiful person. And I no longer get to get my nails done with her, have lunch with her. Sorry. But how I look at it now is this tragedy, this horrible tragedy on all of the 4 children, has brought us closer. You united us with your actions. We're united now, and we're stronger than ever. We have family and friends now that we never knew we had. And, you know, this is probably going to bother everybody, but Bryan, I'm here today to tell you I have forgiven you, because I no longer could live with that hate in my heart. And for me to become a better person, I have forgiven you. And anytime you want to talk and tell me what happened, get my number. I'm here, no judgment, because I do have answers or questions that I want you to answer. And I'm here. I'll be that one that'll listen to you. Okay? Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you very much.
My name is Stratton Kernodle, and I'm Xana's uncle, Jeff's brother. Sitting here today listening to all the stories and feelings and feeling the pain from everybody is a pretty powerful thing. It's each time a statement was read, it sort of would tug into my center core as I felt everybody's anguish. And Xana meant a lot to us, and we loved her very much. But I started thinking about, instead of rehashing everything that everybody else has talked about, I wanted to direct it another direction toward Bryan and what he's done to his family, his parents, his siblings, his friends, his universe. He has contaminated, tainted their family name, and pretty much made a horrible, miserable thing to be ever related to him. And I know that that's what he has to live with, and that has to be his pain. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Next, Your Honor, I believe Randy Davis, stepfather to Xana Kernodle, would like to address the court.
Hi, my name's Randy, stepdad of Xana. I just feel the same way we all do. All of us are united because of something that happened. And I'm grateful to know and have met some new family because of this awful event. But this is probably the last time we're all going to be in the same room together. Let's be real. So I can say, I love you all, and I feel your pain. And just God bless us all, you know, just get through it. I had stuff wrote up. It was probably best I didn't read it out. Probably get kicked out of here. So
you know, I'll share one thing to you guys, not to you, with Xana. So I was working in North Dakota and came home, and Jazzy and Xana had taken our son Elijah and put him in a dress, makeup, and it was awful, you know. I was like, I don't know. She was funny. I told her she'd be in the movies and be somebody great one day like that. And now she is just above us as an angel with all the other beautiful kids. So let's hold that to our hearts, because this evil thing is not going to take nothing from us. You, man, I don't know what my limits are here, but I'm really struggling, dude. I am struggling. So I want to just be out in the woods with you, just so I can teach you about loss and pain. I love God. I wouldn't take your life. That's up to him. But I guarantee you, you are weak. God, I would just give a moment, man, 5 minutes out in the woods. Oh, man. Ooh. You're going to go to hell. I know people believe in other stuff. You're evil. There's no place for you in heaven. You took our children. You are going to suffer, man. I'm shaking because I want to reach out to you, but I hope you feel my energy, okay? Go to hell.
Next is Kara Northington, Xana's mother.
I'm Kara Northington. I am Xana Kernodle's mother. This letter is to you, really, but it's for my daughter, who was murdered by you. Today I stand before you, the man who is responsible for murdering my beautiful daughter, Xana Kernodle. My daughter was beautiful both inside and out. She possessed love for those around her and had a light so bright it will live on forever in our hearts. She brought joy and laughter to her friends, her family, and anyone in her presence. Our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, now has her in his loving arms in heaven, where she can never be harmed ever again for eternity. Because of her, I came to know my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Because of her, many will come to Christ. It is Christ who lives in me that has given me the strength to forgive you. It was of no power of my own. In return, the Lord has filled me with joy, hope, and peace that surpasses all understanding. Jesus has allowed me to forgive you for murdering my daughter without you even being sorry or asking for this. This is only possible because he who lives in me is greater than any evil in this world. For God hath not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. I do not fear you or even let you rent space in my head anymore. This forgiveness has released me from any and all evil you have inflicted on me and my family. It has allowed me to let our Lord deal with you. You have accepted a deal that will prevent you from receiving the death penalty. Nothing man can do to you can ever compare to the wrath of God. Inevitably, you will stand before our Lord and will have to answer to him over the sins you have committed in murdering our children. I pray you come to the end of yourself before that day. Whether you like it or not, heaven is for real, and so is hell. The innocent life of Xana that you stole from myself and my family, and the destruction it has caused. I am washing my hands of you and turning you over to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, whom vengeance belongs to. In closing, I want to read a passage from the Bible, Ephesians 6, King James Version. Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and then in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to withstand the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Wherefore, take unto you the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to withstand in the evil day, that ye may be able to stand in the evil day. I'm not going to share memories of Xana or any more of the goodness of her with you, because I do not want that to be in your head. I don't want it to be in your head. You don't deserve that. You don't deserve our good memories that we have. I do pray for you. I pray that you come to the end of yourself. I pray that before this life is over, that you ask our Lord and Savior in your heart and to forgive you. I do pray for that. But after today, I wash my hands of you, and you are no longer a thing. Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't believe the state has any other victim impact statements.
Okay. Right, state can argue.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just as a housekeeping matter to start, there will be the issue of restitution. That is, the documentation is being gathered, and we ask the court would defer that for 30 days so we can present it in an orderly fashion and make sure it's comprehensive for everyone.
Any objection to leaving restitution open 60 days? All right.
Thank you, Your Honor. I think it's necessary and appropriate to share for everyone here, including the court, the background that brings us in front of Your Honor today for these proceedings. As the record reflects, and as everybody in this courtroom knows, the defendant has pleaded guilty to all 5 counts charged in the indictment. Under oath before Your Honor, he has admitted that the charges against him are true. He has reassured the court that he has not been coerced or threatened to make those admissions. And Your Honor did an extraordinary job in taking the pleas back on July 2nd. We appreciate the court's discipline and insight. The defendant has also waived appeal on the multitude of rulings from this court and Your Honor's predecessor in Latah County, on dozens, literally dozens of motions seeking to dismiss the case, seeking to control or limit evidence, seeking to offer evidence that would not be appropriate. And we appreciate the court's consistent rulings based on the law, based on the facts. As Your Honor will recall, on June 18th, it's just really not that long ago, we appeared before this court for arguments on what became the defendant's final motions to this court. Motion where they wanted to offer evidence suggesting that other people were responsible for the defendant's actions, and the motion seeking essentially an indefinite continuance of the trial. It was readily apparent to all of us in the courtroom from Your Honor's comments that those motions were not going to be granted. So we returned to Moscow and continued with what we had been working on for months in preparation for trial. We had no qualms about going to trial if trial was what was necessary and appropriate. The following week after we were in court, we were approached by the defense with an inquiry about a possible plea. And I can tell the court this is the first suggestion ever that there was any consideration, because indeed the defense had maintained from the beginning that Mr. Kohberger, the defendant, was factually innocent. It's clear that the reality of the evidence and the case that had been investigated and prepared and that we were ready to present in court became a reality. Our reaction, among other things, was to reach out to all the families. And in fact, later that week, on Thursday and Friday of that last week of June, we met with representatives by teams, virtual meetings, with representatives of all the families. And we talked about the status of the case and the upcoming trial and things that related to the trial. And we also let them know that there had been an inquiry about whether there might be an offer for a plea. And we asked the family members for their thoughts and feelings. And they were candid. And they have been candid since, and we respect that. And we understand, recognize, and acknowledge that there was a difference of opinion among representatives of the different families. We understand that. One of the challenges of this case, one of the unique things about this case is we have multiple victims, each unique unto themselves, their families and friends unique unto themselves, and all of them entitled to their opinions, all of them entitled to their thoughts. Over the following weekend, our prosecution team, very skilled attorneys who were personally as well as professionally deeply invested in this case, met. And we talked, and the decision was reached. Well, to start with, were there to be any sort of plea offer or discussion, there's only one possibility. And that would be for the defendant to plead guilty straight up to all charges. There would be no bargaining about counts. There would be no bargaining about reduced sentences. And so we made the proposal to the defense that if the defendant was willing to plead guilty up front to all 5 counts as charged and waive appeal of the court's myriad decisions during the past 2.5+ years on all these motions that would have consumed years, if not decades, of time in the future. By the end of the weekend, we were notified the defendant was prepared to plead guilty as charged and factually acknowledge his responsibility in court for these horrible crimes. Obviously, those discussions and negotiations were confidential. And as Your Honor noted, I believe that was necessarily so, because if the defendant had decided not to plead guilty, it would have been devastating to our jury pool for there to be public information that there had been even consideration by either party to a plea resolution. And protecting the prospective integrity of a trial after so many years was paramount. So the end of the weekend came. We notified the victims' families of what had occurred. I recognize and acknowledge personally, and I respect the fact that of these fine, suffering people here, not everybody agreed with the decision we make. I accept that. It's my responsibility in the end. I recognize that that's the duty of the office that I hold. So now, it is time for the judicial system to impose final judgment and close the door on this chapter of these tragedies. As the court is aware, by the agreement of the parties, it is the state's prayer. Perhaps have the Elmo police turned on. Thank you. That on count one, the felony burglary, that the court sentenced the defendant to the maximum period of 10 years fixed in the custody of the Idaho Department of Correction. Then on count two, that the court sentenced the defendant to fixed life for the murder of Madison Mogen. On count three, that the court sentenced the defendant to fixed life for the murder of Kaylee Goncalves. On count four, that the court sentenced the defendant to fixed life for the murder of Xana Kernodle. On count five, that the court sentenced the defendant to fixed life for the murder of Ethan Chapin. And the state further prays that these sentences be ordered to run consecutively, back to back, not at the same time, to recognize and respect the unique individuality of each of these beautiful young people whose lives were taken brutally and for no reason. And hopefully now, as we have heard earlier this morning, it is time to afford the families and the friends and the community and the state of Idaho and the nation and the world to move forward. We can't undo, and we can never undo, the horror of what occurred on the early morning hours of November 13th, 2022 at 1122 King Street in Moscow, Idaho. For a long time, the presiding district judge in Latah County was John Stegner, who eventually became a member and a justice of the Idaho Supreme Court. And Justice Stegner often observed that even God cannot change the past. But everyone in this room has the ability to take themselves forward. And we want the judicial system to afford them the opportunity today to do that. From today forward, our memories should be focused on these innocent victims whose lives were taken, on their families, on their friends, on the community. The court has heard discussion, talk today, reminiscences today about a special family that our victims shared, not just their natural, legal, and biological families, not just their university family within their sororities, for example. But this family. This is the picture taken on November 12th, 2022, of the special family of 1122 King Road. And you can see all 6 of these dynamic, vibrant, loving, special, innocent faces taken together just across the street from their residence, and barely 12 hours before 4 of them would be brutally murdered in their sleep. They've been described consistently as being bright, caring, vivacious, with futures we can only imagine now. But they were, and they remain, a special family that I think we should all recognize and appreciate. So it's time to move forward. There have been a number of statements directed specifically at the defendant today. I have one last thought. After Your Honor imposes judgment and sentences the defendant to spend the rest of his life in prison, in other words, sentence the defendant to die in prison, he's going to stand up in the belly chains and leg irons that he's wearing today, and he's going to be escorted into the custody of the Idaho Department of Correction. And the door will close behind him forever. That is the closure that we seek, that all of these people, these loving friends and family deserve, so that we can move forward. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right, does the defense have evidence to present today? All right. Does defense wish to make argument today? All right, Mr. Kohberger, you have an opportunity to make a statement if you wish to. I take it you are declining.
I respectfully decline.
Well, please. All right, let me start this morning by acknowledging and thanking those that have come here today in support of their loved ones. And I appreciate your courage and your strength. And I hope that you are able to move on as best as possible.
thank counsel for the professionalism that they've exhibited throughout this case. It's been my great honor to preside in this case and to help bring, to the extent possible, some resolution and hopefully justice to this case. During the quiet morning hours of November 13, 2022, a faceless coward breached the tranquility of 6 beautiful young people and senselessly slaughtered them, 4 of them. Who committed this unspeakable evil was unknown for several weeks, but due to the killer's incompetence and outstanding police work by numerous local, state, and federal law enforcement agencies, the person that slithered through that sliding glass door at 1122 King Road now stands before the world and this court unmasked. This unfathomable and senseless act of evil has caused immeasurable pain and loss. No parent should ever have to bury their child. This is the greatest tragedy that can be inflicted upon a person. Parents who took their children to college in a truck filled with moving boxes had to bring them home in hearses lined with coffins. The loss this killer inflicted was not just the death of these people's children, siblings, grandchildren, as we've heard today. It has ripped a hole in their soul, destroying a special part of their very essence. Any person who is a parent defines themselves foremost as such. It is their existence and purpose of being. And it has been stolen from these parents. None of us have experienced the loss these victims have in the unspeakable way that they have. And therefore, none of us can, nor should we, question the way in which they have handled their loss. Whether that be in private mourning, removed as far as possible from this media circus, or in front of a camera demanding retribution with the loudest megaphone. I've listened intently to the stories and pain that have been shared today with great awe at the courage and resilience of the surviving family members of those wonderful children. I've listened also to the surviving roommates, both in person and through their friends. And I can't think of how, frankly, courageous they have been despite the hell that they have faced by uncaring people who have come up with all kinds of crazy theories about 2 kids simply being kids. The parents, siblings, and other family members who have spoken today are designated as victims in our legal system. But going forward, I hope that they can shed that label, as it gives too much power to the evil that condemned them to that role. They are and should be known as survivors, fighters, and foremost as witnesses to the tremendous lives of value and unbounded promise of these 4 young people. But those speaking today and those who did not speak, but who carry this same burden, this same loss, now carry forward the memories of these now perpetually young people, these forever children. These survivors carry the responsibility of ensuring that the voices of these children, Maddie, Kaylee, Xana, and Ethan, are never forgotten, and the positive impacts that they have had on so many lives are never minimized, and that the love they shared, the light that they shined onto others is forever celebrated. As we sit here today, this case is ending, and we are now certain who committed these unspeakable acts of evil, but we don't know, and what we may never know is why. I share the desire expressed by others to understand the why, but upon reflection, it seems to me, and this is just my own opinion, that by continuing to focus on why, we continue to give Mr. Kohberger relevance. We give him agency and we give him power. The need to know what is inherently not understandable makes us dependent upon the defendant to provide us with a reason, and that gives him the spotlight, the attention, and the power he appears to crave. Yet even if I could force him to speak, which legally I cannot, how could anyone ever be assured that what he speaks is the truth? Do we really believe, after all of this, he's capable of speaking the truth or of giving up something of himself to help the very people whose lives he destroyed? Rather, I suspect the so-called reason would be dished out in enticing, self-serving, and aggrandizing untruthful bits, leaving people wanting more information, more insight, and thus enhancing even further the power he seeks to hold. Even if we could get truthful insight into his why, I suspect it would not in any way quench one's thirst for actually understanding why in the first instance. Because there is no reason for these crimes that could approach anything resembling rationality. No conceivable reason could make any sense. And in the end, the more we struggle to seek explanation for the unexplainable, the more we try to extract a reason, the more power and control we give to him. In my view, the time has now come to end Mr. Kohberger's 15 minutes of fame. It's time that he be consigned to the ignominy and isolation of perpetual incarceration. I know there has been concern about him collaborating on books or movies or other media projects, and I truly hope that someone does not stoop to affording him this spotlight that he desires in the name of clicks, royalties, or profits. While criminal behavioralists should study him away from the spotlight in an attempt to prevent other would-be killers from acting on their worst impulses, there should be no need for that to spill over into the public eye. The great Idaho jurist Edward Lodge was known for trying to find something positive about every person he ever sentenced. And with over a half a century as a trial judge, that was a lot of people. This was often challenging, and I recall in one case he said that the best he could come up with was the defendant had good penmanship. Truth be told, I'm unable to come up with anything redeeming about Mr. Kohberger because his grotesque acts of evil have buried and hidden anything that might have been good or intrinsically human about him. His actions have made him the worst of the worst. Even in pleading guilty, he is giving nothing hinting of remorse or redemption, nothing suggesting even a recognition or understanding, let alone regret for the pain that he has caused. And therefore, I will not attempt to speak about him further, other than to simply sentence him so that he is forever removed from civilized society. And accordingly, based upon his conduct and based upon the record before this court, recognizing the standards that govern this court's sentencing decisions as set forth in State v. Toohill, I hereby sentence Mr. Kohberger as follows. On count 1, burglary, 10 years fixed, 0 years indeterminate. I also impose a fine of $50,000. Count 2, first-degree murder of Madison Mogen. I sentence the defendant to a fixed term of life imprisonment without the possibility of parole, a fine of $50,000, and a civil penalty of $5,000 payable to the family of the victim. On count 3, for first-degree murder of Kaylee Goncalves, I sentence the defendant to a fixed term of life imprisonment without the possibility of parole, a fine of $50,000, and a civil penalty of $5,000 payable to the victim of the family, or to the family of the victim, pardon me. On count 4, for the first-degree murder of Xana Kernodle, I sentence the defendant to a fixed term of life imprisonment without the possibility of parole, a fine of $50,000, and a civil penalty of $5,000 payable to the family of the victim. On count 5 for the first-degree murder of Ethan Chapin, I sentenced the defendant to a fixed term of life imprisonment without the possibility of parole, a fine of $50,000, and a civil penalty of $5,000 payable to the family of the victim. The sentences on counts 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 shall run consecutively to one another. Restitution will be left open for 60 days. Defendant will be required to submit a DNA sample and a right thumbprint impression to the Department of Corrections and comply with the DNA Database Act. I remand the defendant to the custody of the Idaho State Board of Corrections for to be imprisoned in an appropriate facility and execution of the sentence where he will remain until he dies. Though you've waived your right to appeal, you do have a right to file a notice of appeal, and any such appeal must be filed within 42 days of the date of the written judgment, which will be entered shortly hereafter. Though the appeal, you should be aware, may be deemed a violation of the plea agreement, and so I certainly suggest you discuss that with counsel if that is your desire. I ask the media and public present to allow the families to be escorted out first before they leave. Again, thank you to everyone for your stories today. I am strengthened by them, and I am encouraged by your humanity and strength. And God bless you. We're adjourned.
Okay. Woo. That was really, really strong. The judge just is not having it. He sentenced Bryan Kohberger. He said it was his great honor. He called Bryan Kohberger a faceless coward. He characterized Dylan and Bethany, the two surviving roommates, as survivors and victims. He said he cannot force Bryan Kohberger to speak. He legally cannot force him to say anything. He said that even if Bryan Kohberger, I'm paraphrasing here, did speak, that he would be self-aggrandizing and wouldn't tell the truth. And he said there's no reason that Bryan Kohberger could possibly give for these crimes that would approach rationality. He sentenced Bryan Kohberger to the count of burglary for 10 years fixed and a fine of $50,000. For the 4 victims, for Madison Mogen, he is given life without the possibility of parole with a fine of $50,000 plus a civil penalty of $5,000. For the life of Kaylee Goncalves, he is sentenced to a second life in prison without the possibility of parole with a fine of $50,000 and a civil penalty of $5,000. For the life of Xana Kernodle, he is sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole with a fine of $50,000 plus a civil penalty of $5,000. For the life of Ethan Chapin, he is sentenced to life without the possibility of parole with a fine of $50,000 plus a civil penalty of $5,000. And all of these will run one after the other after the So sorry, I had something else pulled up and it just started to play. It startled me. So where will the money for the fines come from? I'm not really sure if Bryan Kohberger has any assets. So I don't know where the money for these fines would come from. But I don't think this judge is going to allow him to profit off of a book deal. The only thing I could think of is if they would try to do an end run around this, the family would, by the family giving statements and getting paid for an interview, and Bryan does it to help out the family. I don't know if in my opinion, I don't know if the family's going to think this is worth it or not. Let me know what you think. I think it's just not going to be a good look, in my opinion. I want to thank Julie for being a member of the Reporter Room family for the last 2 months. Thank you so much. And also Texas Life, Julie. Thank you for the 5 gifted reporter room memberships. If you received one of those, please let Julie, just please say thank you to Julie and let her know. And Julie, I just want to tell you, thank you so much. So the judge just wasn't mincing words. We did hear somebody, I don't know who it was, call out Bryan Kohberger as a coward. So I don't know. Yeah, I am worried about this subpoena colada, but I think that if they did try to do this, I think there's going to be a lot of pushback from the family members. I think that the family members in this case have shown that they're very strong, they're united, and I don't think that they are going to just sit back and passively allow this to happen. So I think that it would be an uphill battle. We're going to look at where Bryan Kohberger's prison, what the photos of that look like next. I do want to do a thank you to our producers. We're not done. We're going to look at the prison photos next. Njaz, Sasha Angel, George Brown, Christy Ballantyne, Michael L. Cole, and Lynn Jen 2. And thank you so much to our channel members. I'll be updating this list before our next live stream. So, which we will be doing on Saturday. So Saturday at 6 p.m. Eastern time, we'll be doing another live stream on this case with just the fallout. And hopefully we'll be starting to get, now that we've had the sentencing, the gag order has been lifted and some of the documents are going to start coming out. So we will start to have access to those. There's a lot of questions that a lot of people have in this case. And so we will be starting to get some of those answers. And I think that will be a good thing for the family members. I think it will be a good thing for the surviving roommates, Dylan and Bethany. The judge did chastise the people who had been dragging Dylan and Bethany. I also want to say thank you to super thanks and coffee gratitude from the live stream we did last night and gifted channel memberships from the live stream last night. Thank you so much to each and every one of you. So let's look at let me see the prison. All right. Let me see. I need to probably make myself smaller so I'm not blocking your way. Let me put myself up here. Okay. So Bryan Kohberger is going to spend his life behind bars. He's going to be serving life sentences, one after the other, So consecutively, not concurrently, which would be at the same time. And he is going to be going into prison. And this is, I want to just see how big I can make these. So this is the outside of the maximum security prison in Idaho. This is the inside of it's called the Idaho Maximum Security Institution. He will be living in one of these little rooms. There is a lot of echoing and noise in rooms like this, so it won't be quiet. Probably a lot noisier than the jail where he's been housed for the past 2.5+ years. He will be in handcuffs. He's in handcuffs today. If you didn't notice, he was handcuffed underneath the desk, probably shackled as well. These are the table and chairs that he will be able to sit on. You can see they are bolted to the floor, no cushioning. These are the little isolation cages. And he may have to eat his meals in there. I don't know if right away he's going to be I don't think he's going to be put into gen population right away. I think he's going to do a psych evaluation at the prison, and then at the jail where he currently is. And then he will be moved over to the prison, and we will be seeing a new mugshot in the next day or two. But these are the little cages that for people who are not able to control themselves, get to sit in there. This is, you get a sense of what the cell looks like. You can see it has a metal bed with a toilet. Very small. You can see the cell right next to it, probably when there's a wall in between there. So barely enough time to lie down. He will be probably in his own cell. I don't think he's going to have a roommate, at least not right away. He's going to be in protective custody. This is the yard where he may get to go out, maybe for an hour a day and get some sunshine, maybe just a couple of times a week. I've heard at this particular prison, the conditions are considered harsh and that they, sometimes don't get to go out every day. This is what the outdoor cage looks like. So if you can't behave yourself outside, or they're afraid to put you in general population, you can sit outside, but you may be in a cage. And then we're back to the beginning of what it looks like. So Bryan Kohberger could spend the rest of his life in solitary confinement. This is according to Kevin Corso, who is the owner of Idaho Bonding Company, regarding the treatment that Kohberger may face when he's sent to the Supermax prison. He said he's going to have to be segregated. As you know, people in prison don't like people who hurt women or children, and he's hurt women. And that's not something the inmates are going to take lightly. It's definitely going to put a target on his back. So Bryan Kohberger is going to be looking over his shoulder for the rest of his life, in my opinion. Let me know if you have a different feeling. And I just want to say to all of you guys who came by and to spend a little bit of time with me, thank you so much for joining me today. It was helpful, I think, to watch this as a true crime family. At least it was for me. I found it to be helpful to have to just be here with all of you guys. I want to say thank you to Green Eye Sparkle. Wow, thank you so much for the 1999 super sticker. That is so nice and greatly appreciated. I am very, very grateful. And I just want to say that thank you to all of our mods. Mods, if you're still in here, if you want to pop down, I just want to say thank you to Michael L. Cole, who's our head mod, Christy Valentine, and Jazz, our other head mod. Thank you so much, Green Eyes, for modding today. And also, I will put that toward the camera. Absolutely. Tammy says, yes, the judge said until he is. Yes, exactly. Sapina Colada says, if he is really autistic, it gives him special needs. We all have all kinds of sensory processing problems, meltdowns, and emotional dysregulation, extreme anxiety, depression, etc. Nick says, I think BK is going to get passed around. Oh my goodness. Thank you to our other head mod, Njaz. Thank you so much, Njaz, for all of your wonderful help today. Francie says, I ask as in Canada, is it 20 years? No, it's life. And he doesn't have any possibility for parole. So it really is life. Four times. Life. He will never get out of prison. Sapina says he may end up in a psych ward. Thank you so much, David. Thank you for modding today, Christy. I really am grateful. Thank you so much. And thank you, Christine, for modding. It's very nice to be here with our family during this trauma. And Claire, thank you so much for being a channel member. She says, thank you to the mods. Thank you, Reporter Room. I love your channel and love the way you interact with your supporters. Thank you for this channel membership, Texas Julie. So you guys, I do feel like I'm glad we watched it together. I think it would have been really, a lot of us teared up, and I think it would have been really hard to watch it alone. So I just want to thank you so much for spending this time with me. I'm really, really grateful. If you haven't subscribed to Reporter Room, please subscribing is free, and it lets YouTube know that you like the work that I'm doing a good job. By subscribing and giving a thumbs up, leaving me a comment, all of these things help me with YouTube and let them know that I'm doing a good job. So I just want to tell you that we will be having another live stream this weekend on Saturday at 6 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to be going through all of the fallout from today. Bill Thompson took a swipe at Ann Taylor. Let me just talk about that really quick. He called her out. I'm going to paraphrase, but he called out Ann Taylor for wanting to implicate 4 innocent young men. He called out Ann Taylor for her attempts to delay the trial. And he gave a tearful and impassioned speech about the victims. and ask the judge to sentence BK to the rest of his life in prison. All right, guys, I will see you today is Wednesday, so I will see you on Saturday at 6 p.m. Eastern time. And there will be a lot more stuff to talk about, and hopefully some new information will come to light now that the hearing has been held. Bryan Kohberger has been sentenced, the gag order has been lifted, and the information will begin to come out over the next few weeks. I will see